Good morning, and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. For those of you who were watching yesterday afternoon's Sunset Safari, you will have known that we were initially plagued by gremlins. The good news is, first of all, the immobilizer is still on the vehicle. We still have that, so Rusty is able to start, as you can clearly see, since we are moving. And as well as that, it seems as though Wendy might even be up and running a little bit later. You know, it is rather dark. I probably don't need a hat. It's just such an automatic reflex. But yes, good morning. My name is Jamie. I have VM, also known as the wildebeest, on the back with me. Brent should be out later on Wendy, in theory, with one of the other. I'm actually not sure which other cameraman will be out with them. There's been mass preparation this morning. All of us clustered around Wendy, desperately attempting to make a plan to get two vehicles out. But for now, you will be on the back with me. And if you are joining us for the first time, my name is no, that's not what I mean at all. No, I've said that already. We are coming to you live, that's what I wanted to say. This is a live safari, so everything that you see is happening in real time, right here and now on Djuma and Arathusa game reserves in the Sabi sands of the Greater Kruger National Park of South Africa. And not only are we live, but we are also interactive, which means you can send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@wildearth.tv. And this is why, after rain, one needs to be a little bit cautious about where you decide to drive, since the road is full of these gentlemen/ladies, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. They've come out with the rainfall, an African giant land snail. The reason I say gentlemen and ladies is because there are so few of them, and as you can imagine, being a rather large snail, the amount of distance you can cover in search of mating potential is fairly limited. Good luck, buddy. And as a result, you know what we're going to do? If the light comes back out and we happen to be back in that area, we'll come and look at the track that he left behind when the sky's a little bit clearer. We'll be working on our tracking skills together. But yes, finding a mate and having the opportunity to mate is always a little bit tricky out here. So as a result, giant land snails, and indeed quite a few snail species, have both male and female reproductive parts. So they are able to fertilize each other, essentially, when they manage to come together. Listen to this amazing news. It seems as though, after all that, it looks as though Wendy might be up and about in a few moments. Well, we'll all keep holding thumbs, fingers crossed, and all of that jazz to keep things interesting. Right, back to the plan for this morning. I just want to do a quick check of the southern boundary. Last night, as I was going to bed, I heard the Styx lionesses calling with possibly the laziest line call I've heard in a while. It was a very reserved It sounded, it really sounded as though it was too much energy for them to call properly. And they were somewhere around our southern boundary. So I'm just going to go check there quickly. We did get a report from the Arathusa guides that the lions had crossed back onto Djuma. I just want to have a look and see if we're not around here somewhere. Thank you as well to Lucy and Joyce and many others who sent through that update about the leopard sawing at Arathusa Dam. If you don't mind, and if you're still watching, just let me know what time that was at. Just to give us a rough idea, we know that Tingana was an absolute mission. Oh, so it was at 4 a.m., thank you. 4 a.m. this morning, so about an hour and a half ago. We know that Tingana was on a mission yesterday afternoon, as it were. Poor James racing up from Arathusa to try and get to him on time before he ducked onto Buffelshoek, which is our northern, it's outside of our Traverse area, it's north of our northern boundary. But I heard reports from one of the guides who was out late last night that he changed direction and was wandering towards our side of the world. So fingers crossed. I suspect that was Tingana sawing. If it wasn't, then it was the Anderson male. So I think we'll be paying a visit to Arathusa shortly, once it gets a little bit lighter. I'm not quite sure what's wrong with me that I'm not wearing a jacket. Maybe it's just because we were rushing around working on the vehicles. But usually I would be shivering away in my seat. It is a very chilly 17 degrees this morning, which makes it 62 degrees Fahrenheit. And yes, I can hear those of you in northern climes chuckling away that I consider that freezing. We are, of course, absolute sooks. Sook, of course, meaning a bit of a wuss when it comes to the cold. Yes, and chilly, it's that time of year, winter's sort of stretching and yawning far on the horizon of the months. And every now and again we get a chilly morning like this to just remind us how far into March we are. I like that idea. Curtis would like us, Curtis has said, hey Jamie, let's find some wild dogs. I concur completely, Curtis. It's been a while since I've seen a wild dog. I would very much like to see one again. But we'll keep our fingers crossed. Last I heard they were on Nkoro, but that doesn't mean anything for a wild dog. So Nkoro is a property fairly far to the southeast of our position, but a distance that a wild dog could cover in probably less than an hour if they set their mind to it. You never know when wild dogs are going to pop out. They've got their mysterious ways. And I know I spoke about this earlier, but the reserve that I used to work at, which is not too far from here, had the first wild dog sighting in about 2 years. Now, that reserve doesn't have wild dogs, and wild dogs have never been, or they would have been there 50-odd years ago, but they've never been re-released there because it is a closed system, so it's quite relatively small. Hello, little sleepy Dacre. It's going to be quite dark. It's okay, little one. Hello. Just turning the light off to make sure that I don't... It's not too much of an issue first thing in the morning. There, can you see that glint? The greenness to the eyes? That's just the ever so slight light that illuminates my face in the dark, and that's what those eyes are reflecting. So whenever we talk about the eye shine of an animal, that is what we are referring to. And that greenish sheen is due to the angle that most antelopes' eyes are set at, right on the side of their heads.
Good morning, Mobile Station.
Setting off first thing in the morning. Must be a scary experience being a little Dacre. Spending the night tucked up, lying down in the bush. Having to be constantly on alert, especially at this current moon phase and with the cloudy weather, which means they can't see anything. Off he dashes. Bye-bye, little Dacre. Well done for surviving the night. You've made it. Chances just increased exponentially. So that eye shine caused, of course, by the tapetum lucidum reflective layer of reflective cells at the back of the retina, bouncing light rays back and is essentially amplifying ambient light. Brent's just trying to get hold of me. It seems as though he's out. Standing by.
Jamie, what area are you working?
I'm just going south along Weaver's Nest. I'm going to check Gowrie Main to the west from there and then probably go on to Arethusa.
Copy. Okay, I'll do good to access up to Triple M North. Just there was a report of those lions crossing back into Weird at some point. I will try and get hold of Chris. To find out exactly where they crossed.
Copy that. Last night I heard audio of them calling to the west of Weaver Nest Junction, but they sound as though they might be mobile east.
Copy. Good luck.
Thank you, you too. And indeed, on mornings like this morning, with the soil all compacted, Brent was wishing me luck, and to a certain extent, luck plays a very large role in coming around the corner and encountering an animal. And then, of course, natural observation. terms of the animals and their movements and what you are listening for. It pays to be alert almost constantly in the bush, not just for animals like the duiker and the kudu that you're looking at now, but also for us in terms of predicting where the animals are going to move to and sort of building up a picture in your mind as to what you think they might be up to. Stunning, tall female in the front, a very young male at the back with those tiny little horns. She just licked her lips. It looked like she was really eagerly anticipating breakfast. Beautiful antelope. This boy's still got a lot of growing to do. Develop those tall, spiraling horns that are typical of a kudu bull. There he goes, off into the bushes. And wonder upon wonder, maybe miracles do exist because Wendy is up and running. And I think that Brent would like to say an overjoyed good morning to you all.
An overjoyed good morning to you all. Welcome on the Sunrise Safari. My name is Brent Smith. I have dangerous/dazzling Dave on camera with me this morning. And well done to Dave, James, Viam, Jean-Andre, I'm trying to remember who else, who managed to figure out what was wrong with the Wendeler. And it is now up and running. So on yesterday's Sunset Safari, we managed to find Tingana while tracking. Unfortunately, James was very, very far away when it happened, and he crossed into Buffalo's Hook. So fingers crossed that sneaky cat has decided to come back onto Djuma. So we're going to go check around the northwestern corner to see if there's any sign of him coming back into Djuma. So wonderful morning. It's a little bit overcast, but there is some blue sky showing. I think we might be finished with the rain. It's about 17 degrees Celsius, which is in the early 70s Fahrenheit. So a very pleasant temperature to be out, and hopefully we'll be greeted by a burning ball of fire in not too long. So let's get going. And if you want to ask me any questions, please feel free to do so. You can pop me an email on questions@wildearth.tv. But if you're more technologically savvy, you can just whack a hashtag on @Safari Live on Twitter, and hopefully that question will get to me. So we do apologize that sometimes we don't get to all your questions, but we do get a plethora of questions every single safari, and we try and get through as many as possible. So let's get going. Hopefully we are going to find lots and lots of wonderful things, and I'm very excited to be out here and very excited to have you on the back of the vehicle. So Nicole and Sandy and many others are slightly confused about daylight savings time. To be honest, I'm also very confused about daylight saving. But what it means is we actually are not changing our times here in the bush, but we will be. The drives will be. Oh no, it's running very fast. It was a little Steenbok. It means that the sunrise and sunset safaris in the North Americas will be an hour later. So an hour later than they are at the moment. And Canada, final control slightly confused. I said the North Americas. Canada fits in the North Americas. So in case anyone was confused, Canada is and the US will be an hour later. So the last place that monstrous male leopard Tingana was seen was crossing the boundary about parallel to us now. But he is a wanderer, so I'm hoping he meanders back. So we're going to start going very slowly because the light's still quite bad, and hopefully we're going to see a beautiful pug mark in the soft sand on the access road. And in the distance, we can see the lights of Hluvukane, the closest sort of big village to us. You can see no one's awake yet. The lights are still on. Oh, sorry, I already have an early morning spider web. Blah, blah, blah. Well, good morning, Lucy in Indiana. Lucy would like to know how the roads get named. Well, this particular road we are traversing at the moment, Lucy, is called Vuyatela Access. It is the main entrance road into Djuma and to the lodges, and it runs directly from the gate all the way up to the lodge. Most of the roads here have been named long before Safari Live started, and they would have been named by different guides, trackers, landowners over the years. And I think the most telling of roads is one we just bypassed. It's named Aubrey's Road, and that's because Aubrey cut it by himself with a panga. If you're not sure what a panga is, it's a machete. So that road was made about 25 years ago, and that's how long Aubrey's been on Djuma. So incredible to be able to share the property with a man with that wealth of experience. Okay, so Dave, are you looking for leopards?
Oh, yes.
Yes, I'm not going to get as quiet as lovey-dovey and cozy as Dave and James did last night. I don't want to affect their special bond. So you just stay behind the camera today, Dave.
Right there, Jamie.
Standing by and speak of the devil.
What's the update on what position those lions crossed last night?
James, I just heard when I was driving back from Ingers that they had crossed. I'm not sure where. I'm waiting for Chris and Lex to get mobile. They were the ones who were looking for them last night.
Okay, copy, thanks.
And you can see a lovely green flush all around us. Now, this particular area is always important to animals, and if we look at the bush surrounding us, we're going to tell you why. Well, actually, I might even ask you why. So if we have a look here, we can see a lovely green flush at the moment, but always very short grass. You're never going to see very tall grass here. And if we have a look, very distinct trees, very small trees. They're called magic guarries. They're an indicator of a couple of different things. And I wonder who can tell me, and who's been listening to me harp on about soil types and seepage lines and what and what not. So what do guarries represent? And sometimes you will find them standing alone, but if you find guarries like this, where they make up probably 80% of the tree species that are out there, what does that indicate? Sorry guys, just listening to the radio.
From Zimbabwe towards Impala Plains.
Aha. So that sounds like it could be the Nkuhumas. And it sounds like they crossed just to the southwest of us. So we are in the area. James is out on tracking team with Renius. I was lucky enough to spend the afternoon with Renius yesterday. But we're first going to check if we can find those leopard tracks. If not, then we're going to go give James a hand looking for what I would guess to be the Nkuhumas, just from where the lions crossed. And for being the sticks, it would have been quite a lot further south. Chatting about lions, Zoomy Mike's got an interesting question. Forgive me, Mike, if I'm not turning around to talk to you, but I am trying to find us a leopard at the same time. Zoomy Mike's wondering, why are groups of female lions called prides and males called coalitions? So, the main reason would be that all the pride structure is generally made up of related females, whereas coalitions are not always related males.
and a pride will generally last a lot longer than a coalition. Prides can go over generations, where a coalition is generally a single generation. So, for example, a great example of that would have been the Matimbas. Were originally a coalition of 5, if I remember correctly, and they split into 2 and 3, but they are now coming to the end of their tether, and it's only been 4 or 5 years. Yet the Nkahuma Pride, or the Styx Pride is probably a better example because I know a bit more about them. I was seeing Styx Pride back in 2005, and I know they were being seen for quite a long time before that. So if we look at that, the prides are generational, made up of related females, where coalitions are made up of related males, sometimes unrelated males, and they last 1 generation, whereas prides can last multiple generations of cats. I hope that helps, Zoomy Mike. So no sign of a leopard yet, but we are keeping our eyes peeled. And it's wonderful to have all the little pans and stuff full, and we can see lots of water around. As nice as it is, so here we go. Now, while we're sitting in another section of gorari bushes, and you can see there's a nice big pan there, Lucy is saying the reason that all those gorari bushes are around is because the water is flowing underground. That is correct, Lucy, but we're sitting on top of a crest now, and the water will seep towards both sides, but the main reason we're sitting on an area that's full of quarries, if we look, Dave, at the soil here, here's an actual perfect example. So you see the whitish part is sand, but we also see dark parts of soil. So generally, these are what you would call duplex soils, and they're very good for grass. And the reason they're very good for grass is because they hold water. So there's a shallow sandy layer on top with a thick clay layer underneath. So the water only gets as far as the clay before it stops going down and then starts moving laterally. Now, the guarri bush is a bush that can deal with high water tables. Most other trees would probably expire in such situations. So here we go. And that is why you find guarri bushes on that specific type of soil. Well done, Lucy. And Dave, let's continue on. Unfortunately, so Julie and many others also got that answer correct, so well done to you guys. It seems like you are paying attention when we waffle on for hours upon hours. So let's head back to the wonderful Jamie to see what she's up to.
On our search for these lions, I've just heard a report from James that there is a lovely herd of elephants sitting on Triple M, which is one of the main roads that runs between Djuma and Arathusa. So we're going to slowly make our way there, checking very carefully for lion tracks. I know that Brent gave the update on where the lions crossed last night, which is completely in the opposite direction to where I heard the calling. That being said, maybe when I said they sounded lazy, maybe they were just a little bit further away than I thought they were, sitting across the boundary of our southernmost boundary in Little Gowrie, and that means it was probably the Birmingham boys. Now I'm making my way to... Sorry. Let me just check the freshness of this track.
Morning, Nick.
It's an old track. This was when it was raining.
Yeah, Brent, thank you very much for that.
A little bit, maybe.
He was just...
There we go, just turn that down a bit.
Where's the one you're looking at?
I'm looking at that one, right where the tracks curve there and they meet. A little bit to the right. Where's it gone? Hold on a second.
The angle of the lights is...
Yeah, it's very difficult on a cloudy morning like this morning. That is a lion track, ladies and gentlemen. Well done, VM. Well spotted. That is a lion track, believe it or not. But I can tell it's fairly old. It's been pretty much obscured. Here we go. Well done, Vildy. There's another one there on the right. Barely indistinguishable in this sort of light from the tracks of the vehicle. The tricky thing tracking in this light, Brent actually, thanks for you. Sorry about that. Threw you a bit of a curveball there. Bit of a tricky thing tracking this light. I know Brent was beating himself up the one morning that he missed those tracks. Now, of course, those of you watching the Sunset Safari yesterday would have been updated about our tracking lessons that we've had from the great Renius. And Renius we're incredibly, little snail, go between my wheels. Renius, of course, is probably one of the best trackers in the world, if not the best tracker in the world, a world expert. And we are fortunate, and we really are fortunate enough to have him in our midst and teaching us a little bit about tracks. Now, Marsha would like to know, what have we learned from our master tracker, Renius? The answer is endless things, Marsha. But what I think has been our primary lesson is it might be time to refresh ourselves on some... There's a line in the road. Marsha, there's a line in the road. I'll get back to you in a moment. Hello, Gilly. I love the way Viam says that so calmly. It's happened quite a few times before, where Viam's just like, wild dogs, lion, leopard. Hello, good morning, ladies. Stations 3 Mufuzzi and Gala static on Gowrie Main, very close to the junction with Triple M. Okay, so I did hear them calling. Hello, ladies, and a very good morning to you. What do we think, everybody? Definitely sticks, am I right?
Sticks.
Yep, Liam says sticks. Look at that belly. Some pregnant ladies amongst this group, I suspect. Nipples starting to become prominent. Yes, sorry, girl. I'm not trying to be insulting. I wasn't calling you fat, I promise. Although you are looking very round-bellied. Hello, lovely ladies. Been a long time since I've seen the sticks. This is so exciting. Awesome. What a great way to start the morning. Oh, I'm not sure if you heard that, but there was a big sigh. As she lay down. Interesting to see the sticks females and compare them to the Nkuhumas. They are in good condition, and as I said, I'm fairly certain there's at least one pregnant belly there, with the lioness sitting in front of us, in the middle of your screen. I haven't been able to look properly at the other two. They probably had a good meal at some point. See the blacks of the ears and how clearly, even in this light, those black ears show up. And of course, they're doing multiple studies into the way in which that enhances their communication between pride members. Imagine you are stalking a buffalo or a wildebeest or a zebra, and something's actually attracted her attention, but not so much the attention of the other two. Imagine you are stalking a wildebeest or a zebra through long grass, and there is a wonderful Billy Connolly sketch on this particular thing, and the way that lioness hunt through between Agnes and Betty. And he speaks as if he's the lions coordinating the hunt, and it's absolutely hilarious. So once you are finished watching Safari Live, I would highly advise looking for The Wildebeest or GNU by Billy Connolly, and just have a watch. It will make your day. Oh, long night, big stretch. I mean, it's a very funny sketch, but he raises some interesting points about the way in which lionesses just know where to go and where they're needed in terms of their hunting. And scientists now are paying a lot of attention to ear signals and tail signals. Makes sense. The important parts of the visual communication of an animal. What do you look at when you look at an animal's mood? First of all, you look at the ears and you look at the tail. An angry cat, and many of you will know this from your pets, an angry cat thrashes its tail. Or is she going to call? Or is she just getting comfortable there on the dirt? I must say I'm a bit of a wuss, but I'm glad I'm not lying in the damp soil at the start of this morning. It doesn't look very comfortable at all. Stretched out. You will look at the tail. You will look at the ears, the way in which cats, dogs, horses, elephants, everything is communicated by those ears. So as soon as you've got flat ears sitting back on a head, you already know that you've got an upset animal on your hands. And then next comes, of course, the facial expressions. And all of us as mammals, that's why we see faces in everything. If it's just windows in a building, our brains identify facial structures. People see faces in toasters. They see, and for that matter, faces in toast at times. And that's because we as mammals are geared, particularly human beings, but all of them, are geared towards recognizing that facial structure, the two eyes, the nose, and the mouth. It's one of the crucial hardwiring parts of our brains. And I know James mentioned the fact that we are such compulsive people watchers. Even in the bush, when you drive into a sighting, guests can't help but look at the other vehicle approaching, no matter who it is and no matter what the animal in front of them happen to be doing. It's instinctive. There is a biology to it that would equally apply to the lions themselves. They're looking exhausted. I wonder what these ladies were up to today. Or last night, sorry, is probably a better way of terming it. Now, I've said that I think that they are pregnant. And when they do have their cubs, it will be a wonderfully exciting moment for us all. Of course, the lioness will remove herself from the pride, go and find a lovely denning. I think she looks pregnant. And look at that swollen, dark nipple there. There's a roundness that extends below the stomach and more towards the back legs. The next generation is on its way after all of the drama that we've experienced over the last few months. And she will hide her cubs away in a suitable denning area, maybe in a drainage line, maybe in a termite mound, wherever she decides to go. Wonderful news after everything that's happened here, to finally see the evidence that the takeover by the Birmingham boys has been successful and that the next generation is on its way. Now, of course, I refer to them as cubs. Jennifer was wondering, are the offspring of all cats, including, for example, African wild cats, are they all named cubs? Or would we refer to, why then do we refer to baby domestic cats as kittens? And Jennifer, if you just give me 1 second, I think that Brent is trying to get hold of me. Let me just answer him just quickly before he gets anxious that I'm not hearing him. Brent, are you calling me? The one thing about the position of these lions is that they're on Gowrie Main. It's the fact that we're going to have several vehicles coming through. That's a negative. I haven't got there yet. If you wouldn't mind doing that for me.
My pleasure.
Copy that. Thank you. We just want to let the other vehicles know on Arathusa, because as I said, this is a very common boundary road. This is the same road that Karula was secreting her cubs away. Secreting is probably a better pronunciation. Secreting her cubs away in an old water pipe. A very interesting choice on her behalf and the behalf of these lions. The lions, of course, not at all bothered by the constant flow of traffic, but what that means is that probably our time with these lions for now is limited, but we can always come back and view them later. But we're not in a rush. I'm just letting you know that over the next few minutes, there might be other stations deciding to respond. Okay. Jennifer, just to go back to your question, sorry, my train of thought got completely interrupted. Jennifer was wondering about cubs and kittens. Jennifer, it's not just domestic cats where the babies are referred to as kittens. So anything smaller than a cheetah is referred to as a kitten. Caracal kittens, it's caracal kittens, serval kittens, wildcat kittens, black-footed cat kittens, small spotted cat kittens. Have I forgotten any of the small feedlets? I think that's pretty much it. I pretty much covered that. There we go. We've already got another vehicle coming across to join us. We will have them arrive, and I'll just chat to them quickly about which radio station we're going to manage the sighting on. While we do that, apparently, Brent has found, from the largest predator to the largest animal completely, Brent has found a herd of elephants. So let's have a look.
Tab on it for the guys in the east.
Hi, guys. I'll be back with you in a second. Copy, Sean. No problem. I'll let her know. So, guys, sorry about that. Just chatting to the guys from Arethusa, letting them know that Jamie has been very clever and found some rhions. And we're just going to move around to have a look at these great grey behemoths, also known as the African elephant. Jamie.
Standing by.
Jamie, just to let you know, Sean from Arethusa would like to come join you on Gowrie Main, and he'll probably be there in the next 5 to 10.
Join us.
Okay, copy. Oh, look at that. There's a lovely little guy giving us the sniff. Now, definitely...
Running the sighting on.
Sorry, guys, 1 second. I would do it on Channel 5, or the Western or the Eastern Channel. Just chat to whoever's there, and I'd say just hand over the controlling of the sighting to someone else.
Copy that.
So there we go. Wonderful breeding herd. I do absolutely adore these creatures and love spending time with them. It's always a toss-up between my favorite time with elephants. Is it with one of those monster bulls, or is it with one of the little bulls? The tiny little guys are quite often so much enjoyment. I'm just gonna... I don't know if you can see through this tree here. There's a little guy there, busy mastering the use of the trunk. Hopefully he will come out shortly. Here we go. Looks like getting the hang of it. It's probably around 6 months old now. Hello, madam. There's madam walking into shot. You can see that very sharp-shaped forehead, if we go up there. See that of a female elephant, very angular compared to a bull. That's very round. Oh, here he comes. Hello, little monster. And looking at that head, little monster is a lady. You can see it's not quite as prominent in the adults yet, but she's definitely got that little angle. Oh no, Ellies, don't go that way. It's amazing how they just are able to sniff between all the branches and pick up the most succulent little things that are around. We got quite much bigger baby. Over a year, probably a year and a half or so now. You can see the tiny little tushes starting to show. And look at that tusk on this female. She's been quite lucky. It's been a very nice, clean break when she's broken her left-hand tusk. Oh, here we go. Yes, you're very scary. Yeah, want to be a big deal, and then you trip. Yes, go be sheepish on the other side of the road. So if we come back to this female who's right next to us here, you can see her tusk is at a very nice clean break, the left tusk. And sometimes when their tusks break, obviously they can break quite deep into the mouth, and it can cause them a bit of pain. But in this case, look at that, it's almost a perfect clean break. top half falling aside. Oh, she's got some fast food there, takeaways. A takeaway acacia. Probably the only creature in the world who takes their food with them, and sometimes it can be a piece of a tree that we wouldn't even be able to pick up. So unfortunately, the elephants are crossing out of our traverse zone. We'll try to spend as much time as possible with them. Oh, yes, to you too. There we go, we're going to get some grey bottoms disappearing across our western edge of the traverse. There we go. Hopefully we'll be able to find some more elephants somewhere else where they're not disappearing. And we have been having some absolutely fantastic elephant sightings recently.
Copy that, Brent?
No. Sorry, guys, I seem to have a problem with my communications.
Line.
Okay, so while these elephants disappear, let's jump back on with Jamie and see what the lions are up to.
Now just have a look at this and imagine the kind of day that this little tortoise is having. Stumbled right on top of the lionesses. I wonder what's going through its little head. A fascinatingly bright shell. It's a hinge tortoise. It speaks hinge tortoise, but it's a very young one, which is why it's so brightly colored. Yes, little tortoise. Bravo. I think perhaps that was a good decision. You're about the size of her foot. In fact, you might even be smaller. Time to go. Time to go indeed. Racing away at top speed for a tortoise. Believe it or not, that little one, small as it is, probably about 2 years old. Here it goes. They're very slow growers. I wonder how it's feeling. You know, when you're that low to the ground, even spotting a large cat in front of your face is a bit tricky. And this little one appears to be fairly disoriented. It hasn't quite decided where it wants to go. It's probably feeling a little bit cold as well. Marcia, you wanted to know what we learned from our master tracker, Renius. Here is one example. He showed us how, no, little one, that's not where you want to go. That is a terrible idea. No, that's not Mom. Definitely not Mom. Oh, and right past her nose as well. I don't think she's going to do anything, though. I think she's just going to ignore it. I hope she's just going to ignore it. The bravest, I'll leave it to you to decide, is this the bravest little tortoise, or is it the stupidest little tortoise in all of Africa? Either way, safely past one line and on to the next. What will happen? Will our little tortoise friend negotiate the obstacle course that life has thrown his way? Tail twitching. There we go. The tortoise making its way closer and closer to the next lioness. In fact, looking as though he's about to go and snuggle up to her. Might even be seeking warmth, you know, funnily enough. As I said, it's a chilly start to this morning safari. And the lion is exuding warmth. I don't think he's going to go cuddle her, though. And Eric, who is watching us all the way in Ohio, tells me that he has a blind friend and that she really enjoys the live safari's description of the beautiful environment in which we operate. Oh, tortoise. the anticipation's killing me. I think these lions are too lazy to do anything about it, but he is very fortunate that this is not a young male. If this were a young male lion, find himself in a far stickier situation. No, little tortoise. Not where you want to be. Now, I am speaking fairly low. There are 2 other vehicles in the sighting. Plus, of course, we don't want to add to any stress for the animals. So what do we think this tortoise is going to do next? Is he going to A, cuddle the lion? Is he going to B, escape unharmed? Or C, is the lioness going to wake up and find herself distinctly disgruntled that her rest was disturbed? And is he now frozen in fear? I'd love to hear what you think's going to happen next. It's, of course, the joy of a live safari, is that you just never know. Natasha is saying that Natasha is on the side of the brave little tortoise, says that he's very brave. He's obviously defending his territory. Natasha, maybe he is furiously shouting at the lions in his little tortoise voice, telling them to go away because this is his patch. I've seen Speke's hinged tortoises fight before, but that's usually fighting each other, not picking a fight with a large female cat. Oh dear. Frozen. What to do? Where to go? At least it's warm here, I guess, for our brave little tortoise. I'm not sure. I'm still on the side of a slightly dumb little tortoise. Now, male lions, young male lions in particular, are incredibly curious. And in general, tortoises that have had an encounter with lions are usually ones that have encountered young males that explore their new world with their mouths. This tortoise is not only either brave or stupid, but also very, very lucky that he picked his battles. This lioness, just while we've got this lovely view of her underbelly, look at those swollen nipples. Now that's almost a sure sign that a pregnancy is reaching its later stages. So over the past 3 or so months, she's been feeding the babies inside her, and they will be making their way into the world fairly soon. I'm just trying to see if there's any waxy coating. It doesn't look like it. So birth not yet completely imminent, but definitely a possibility. And this lioness in front of us as well also looks to have, yes, also looks as though her nipples are swollen. No suckle marks. Babies have not yet entered our world, but they are going to soon. Oh. Oh, oh, oh. Little tortoise. Foolish little tortoise. I'm just going to say a quick good morning to Sean and Rhett. Hi, guys. Good morning. How are you?
Chilling, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Well, hi, Ian, and you face.
Sean.
Sean, what's the lineup like? The other...
It's just Rodney coming.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right.
Lovely diesel fuels.
Thank you.
My best. He likes pink loads.
Little tortoise once again escaping the notice of the lioness. Although he nearly got an unintentional warm blanket of lion leg. Just to finish off with our discussion about their pregnancy. Apparently, some of you believe that you can see the cubs moving.
Rodney, is anybody on
Gen B, you were wondering, you think that you can see cubs movement? It is possible if it's a late-stage pregnancy, just like with human beings. You start to see the movements of the babies. Gen B, there's 2 possibilities. One is that the cubs are moving. The other is that as a natural byproduct of their digestive processes, it could also, and I can't phrase this delicately, it could just be gas that's bulging through their stomachs. Hard to tell. I think let's go with the cub option. That's a far more appealing
prospect as to an explanation of her abdomen movements.
Actually, difficult now that they're all empty. Yeah, I think so. Even this one here, they're not big and teeth.
I must say that to me the Styx females are slightly scruffier looking lions than the Nkuhuma females, but most of you would have seen the enlarged elbow on that female while we were watching the tortoise situation play out. And Heidi in Las Vegas has asked about it. She was wondering if it's a cyst or a growth of some kind. There's a couple of options, Heidi. It could be a cyst from an injury that has formed a sort of an infection layer where the bacteria has developed into an abscess or a cyst around her elbow. It could be a benign cancerous growth on her elbow, or it could be a lesion due to a secondary effect of a TB or tuberculosis infection. So that does happen. Lions in this area can be carriers of tuberculosis and often are, as are buffalo, kudu, and most of the different animal species. It is a naturally occurring disease within their population, and it doesn't necessarily do them much harm. It might weaken them ever so slightly, but for the most part they are adapted to, big yawn and a big stretch. Their bodies are adapted to dealing with the disease, but occasionally they get lesions connected to a little bit of an outbreak of TB. Up you get, girl. What's up?
I feel the same when I wake up in the morning.
And large ladies.
Doesn't even get up to have a wee.
Now she is doing what lions do best. They are known as lazy lions, and sometimes that reputation is fairly well earned. When you cannot be bothered to get up and move whilst urinating, you have a well-deserved reputation for being a bit lazy. Girl? Really? Really, girl? Sometimes, I guess, when you've got to go, you've got to go.
No, that's just lazy.
No, that is just lazy. There's no getting around that. She's now lying in it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why lions tend to be fairly smelly creatures. Sitting in the puddle. And she'll probably get up and move in a moment. I'm really hoping she's going to get up and move in a moment. Please, girl, for the sake of our peace of mind. Nope. I'm going to sit here in a puddle of my own creation. Fair enough, then, I guess. No point in being squicky about it. They're animals, not people. And urine is sterile. Look at that. All spotted veum. A little bit of blood on the back of her neck. Unlikely to be from mating if she is as pregnant as she looks.
Just chilling with a lion. He doesn't know what he's sitting next to.
And as we look down her incredible tawny coat and across to the other individuals, Danny was wondering, does the colour of a lioness reflect upon its health, or are they just slightly different hues naturally? And the answer is colour is not associated with the health of the cat. They are just different colours because they're different colours. It's partly to do with the light and the way in which it's hitting them in the morning, but it's also to do with the fact that genetically, just like we have brown hair, blonde hair, black hair, lions take on different shades. And you'll notice the difference. The difference will be more pronounced between lions of different areas throughout Africa. And particularly when it comes to mane colour, and darker manes tending to be associated, first of all, with high levels of testosterone, but also more with the Kalahari lions, the lions towards the west of us. Whereas lighter colour manes tend to be, and I'm using tend to be very carefully, bear in mind that there's no general rules. And she's definitely got a couple of scars and scratches there. And those tatty ears come from the biting flies that come and suck the blood, the stable flies. So Danny, it's just a property of genetics, just like Amber Eyes has amber eyes. Oh, big yawn. Was it exhausting? Did you have a long walk last night? Obviously so. Maybe she's just got a case of a very pregnant stomach and the impact that it naturally has on her bladder. Can't believe she hasn't moved yet. That cannot be comfortable. Quick update on our tortoise. Our tortoise's rite of passage, as has been suggested. Still there. Still in exactly the same place. Peggy, you suggested it was a rite of passage for a young tortoise. Sort of an initiation of some kind. He's still there. He, she is still there. Possibly frozen in fear, possibly not. Possibly just enjoying the warmth of the lion in the morning sun. And how well timed was that? Sun rays peeking out over the horizon. Taking on a golden color. Look at that. Ellen, who is watching all the way in Arkansas, Ellen was wondering, could the tortoise be drawn to the lion due to sort of gnats and fleas and ticks in the lion's fur? And as a vegetarian or a herbivore, probably not, Ellen. I've certainly never seen a tortoise rifling through a lion's fur, like an ox picker might rifle through the fur of a buffalo. So yes, although the lions do carry a considerable amount of parasites, it will not be something that attracts the tortoise. They feed, they don't have teeth, they have very strong beaks, but they don't have teeth, and they will feed and crop around the new grass shoots and the green grass shoots. And on that note, those of you planning trips to Kruger for the next few months in this drought, please be very, very careful of the tortoises on the road. There are far more than normal because the grass along the edge of the road, I'm not sure if it's because it's been burnt to create fire breaks or if it's just from water runoff from the road and the lodges, but it does mean that there are far more tortoises targeting that area because there's not much else for them to eat. So heads up, beware the tortoises on the road in Kruger at the moment. Of course, always be aware of tortoises on the road. Don't want to run over them. It's just an interesting point. Oh my goodness, hello son. Oh, my retina, my pupils doing a serious job of suddenly contracting themselves. So Clan Wild Fury, since you are here and you've just watched me be blinded by the sun, you were wondering if it is really live. Well, Clan Wild Fury, yes, sorry. Take a moment for my pupils to adjust. Yes, it is absolutely live. My eyes are now watering. We cannot edit and we cannot script anything that occurs on our live drives in this way. So yes, we did just get lucky enough to come around a corner and find ourselves lions. Joining us live, and Clan Wild Fury, not only are we live, we are also interactive. So if you would like to jump on board with us twice a day, every day, one drive in the morning and one drive in the afternoon, you can learn all that you would want to learn about the amazing animals. Oh, tortoise, what you doing? Where are you going? Clan Wild Fury, it is as much your guess as mine as to what happens next. Oh, sorry, Ellen. I was in the middle of answering your question. Ellen, I think it's more attracted to the warmth. I genuinely do. I think it woke up cold and it's looking for warmth. It is now finding itself under the leg. Well, this to me is an absolute first. I have never seen this. In all my time in the bush, I have never seen a tortoise attempt to cuddle a lion. So I guess it was option A. I think that was what option A was. I've already forgotten what options I presented you with. That's incredible. I have never seen a tortoise do that. Where to now, little tortoise? What's your plan from here? It's hilarious. Well, I suppose at least it's cozy and warm. And we'll keep giving you regular updates as to what that tortoise decides to do. So Ellen, yes, I think it's more attracted to the warmth rather than ticks or parasites. Lions generally, although they carry ticks, especially around their eyes, their face, their ears, and underneath the tail and the belly, although they carry ticks, unlike animals like impala or buffalo, they definitely don't show the same level of patience for oxpeckers. So as predators, that applies to all of them, they are never ever going to let a bird come and sit on them and physically remove those ticks and parasites. I think the tortoise is just attracted to the warmth. And Marsha, I was also busy mentioning what Renius taught us about hinged tortoises. Maybe because he showed us this hole in a termite mound where hinged tortoises live. I had no idea that that was where they settled down. He taught us how to recognize a tortoise-shaped hole. And maybe that's where our little tortoise was hiding for the evening. But what they'll do is we're getting almost to that point where estivation will start to occur. And they'll disappear. And then there you can see, look at all of the sort of the marks along her back. And that's a combination of parasites and scabs and little abscesses from small cuts and injuries and things inflicted by flies as well. Not as sleek, perhaps, as the Nkuhuma lionesses, but definitely incredibly resilient after all that they have been through as a pride. And there are those beautiful feet. We stopped earlier to try and look at their tracks in the mud. It was difficult in the grey morning light, but the sun is out, the sun is shining, the birds are calling. There's a black-crowned chagra making a racket. There's orioles calling, drongos, all kinds of lovely bird song, reveling in the first sunny day that we've had in a little while. Now, I'm not entirely sure where the Nkuhuma Pride is at the moment. As soon as we find that out, I will give you an update. But of course, they've been splitting and coming and going regularly over the last few weeks. Very often Amber Eyes going off on her own, or one of the older females going off on her own, and then reuniting once again. But Mark was wondering what would happen if the one lone Nkuhuma happened to encounter the Styx females. And the answer is she would run. She would run very fast. Female lions don't always, probably don't have the same fearsome reputation as males do, but I have seen them come to seriously savage blows between prides. So they are territorial as well. It's not just the males that hold territories. And females protect the core parts of their home ranges very fiercely. And I know that the Styx and the Nkuhumas had a bit of a scrap a little while ago, probably about a month ago now, around Nkoro. The reason behind that is, although we like to think of things in our neat suburban way, with boundaries and walls and set barriers, lions don't think like that. So you've got to think of their home range and territorial boundaries as being exceptionally fluid. So whilst the Styx decide to wander onto a part of the Nkuhuma's territory in the south, the Nkuhumas are further up towards the northern part of their home range. It doesn't often happen that they encounter each other. It's one of the reasons why lions, including females, so lionesses, roar. It's a way of announcing where they are, and essentially acting as a way of avoiding conflict with each other. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes they meet each other. They're just in too close a proximity, and then they have a little bit of a scrap. But that's when you've got a group of them together. One lone lioness faced with 3 Styx females would be well advised to turn tail and dash back to her sisters and her daughters as quickly as possible. It's unusual for females to kill other females, but they can quite seriously injure them. She's having a jolly good clean of her front legs, and her front end seems somewhat superfluous if you're going to... Cheers, Sean.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of your morning.
And you too.
Cool.
Stay safe.
Will do. Cheers. There's another vehicle behind me that doesn't have the best view, so since Sean has moved a little bit, let's take our opportunity. Or what you going to do, girl? Are you going to continue cleaning, are you? That's interesting. Perhaps maybe movement would be advised at the same time. Yes? No? No? Okay, fair enough. Yep, have a jolly good clean of your back leg. And let us know how that tastes. Animals definitely not bound by the same stringent standards of hygiene that human beings might decide to uphold. I just want to check with the guy behind me. Can you see? How's your visual? Is it okay from there? You good? Okay. You happy if I don't move forward? Sure. Thank you. Sorry, obscuring your vision of the lions completely. You probably didn't need the top of my head there. Bit tricky to turn around though. I've said that they're scruffier than the Nkuhumas, but Joanne was wondering, do I think that they look bigger than them? Sure, Joanne, it's so hard to tell. Yes, I actually think I agree with you, particularly with the two females. This one that's licking. Oh, look at that injury on her foot. She's had a bit of a knocking about, nothing serious. She's got a couple of fresh wounds, one around her ankle there, and then one, of course, in the back of her neck. Could even be inflicted by the rest of the pride, fighting over access to a kill. Nothing serious. She will heal up from those incredibly quickly. Resilient as always. The animals out here showing far more resilience to germs and infection. And although I have mocked her hygiene standards compared to ours, they are far more resilient than us, probably because they don't have such strict hygiene standards. They've been building up immunity since they were born. Unlike us, that disinfect everything and do not expose ourselves to the natural germs of everyday life. She, on the other hand, will heal up that scab and escape secondary infection and be better within the next few days. Oh, giving those toes a jolly good clean. That's important what she's doing now. Sorry, Joanne, I haven't forgotten the question. I will get back to you in a moment. She's just been fairly entertaining. She's cleaning her around her claws and the claw sheaths. And that is important due to the fact that the claws are tucked away in a cartilage sheath in her paws. If she were to allow those sheaths to become clogged up with dirt and stones. Now, I'm not even going to finish my next sentence because Brent has got a wonderful surprise for you, one of our different large cats.
So guys, we've just heard all these monkeys alarm calling, and I've just spotted, we're going to try and get a bit closer now. It looks like a female leopard through the bush there, slowly moving. You can hear the monkeys all around us. So let's get a bit closer. I think it could be Karula. Lex. It's so exciting, guys.
Trying to relocate on that now. So carry on until you get to
So, sorry guys, I just got to be on the game drive for a second, but look, there she is. It looks like a female. I think just from where we are, it is Karula. So she has moved her den, which is great news because it was on a really public road. There was lots of traffic, but she's now away from the den, out hunting here on the crest. There she is. Difficult to see from here. We've only got a bum view so far.
Okay, copy that, John. That'll be super, hey? I'm just going to go to Jordan's dam quickly.
Here we go.
And,
I'm pretty sure it is Karula. So the monkeys you can hear behind us told us exactly where she was.
Where do you want me to check now?
She's found a nice bush to rub against. I'm just going to take this opportunity to get around. So that is a cissus, and it actually smells quite a lot like cat urine when you break up those leaves. Oh, and look at this exquisite morning light coming through. Couldn't ask for a better time to find a leopard than in this beautiful early morning. And I'm so excited to see the queen. I feel like I've been missing her. So I'm sure quite a few of you are worried that we have found her, but don't worry, the cubs are not here. She has left them somewhere safe in a drainage line or in a little cave, a little rocky outcrop somewhere, and she's now out on patrol. And we're by no means affecting her hunt because she's already been spotted by the monkeys. So you can see her tail's up. She's just trying to walk as far away from those monkeys as possible that are sitting there going at her. Lex. Lex, we've located Karula between Drakensberg and Cheetah Cut Line. She's now mobile east towards Cheetah Cut Line between Mumba and Central Junction. Copy. So we go. Watch out, Dave. There's a big branch coming. Okay, she's heading straight into the sun, which is quite a good tactic, although it does make it a little bit difficult for us. And we followed her many times in this particular area, and it's not always the easiest area to follow her in. But as you can see, I'm giving her a nice distance in case she does spot a duiker or a steenbok. We're not on top of her.
Chris, I'm quickly going to make my way to Karula, and then I'll come back.
So we're giving her lots of space, and
Okay, no problem.
look at her go. Isn't she just the most beautiful creature? Standing by yours?
Yeah, I'm still in double zoom, but I'm going to jump on.
Oh, look at that. Look at that beautiful profile.
Okay?
Make your way, yours. I think best access is going to be from Central, but just let me know when you're a bit closer and I'll update you. Oh, isn't it magic with that backlight?
Yeah, Brett, do you think it's better to take Gary Cut Line and then take left onto Central?
Oh, look at this. So beautiful. And yours, Cheetah Cut Line, still best access. She's between Drakensberg and Cheetah Cut Line. Sorry about that, guys. Just updating yours. I know Karula is one of yours' favorite leopards as well. Isn't this amazing? We've got a double cat bill live on safari this morning. Oh. And yes, it is Saturday. Saturday is Catterday. Or was today Sunday? I can't remember. We get very confused about it. Oh, the elephants have made some alterations to the ground here. So, unless she stops, I am going to keep a nice distance from her, as we would normally, just to making sure she's got the best possible chance at hunting. And as I said, the monkeys are still alarming, although she's dropped her tail now. But the most incredible thing about vervet monkeys is, I mean, they will often alarm at something that's possibly even over a kilometer away. So from, I'm guessing, I'm hoping, otherwise I'm going to look a bit silly, but back to Jamie quickly, who's got a leopard tortoise escaping a lion.
Our lioness rolled over, and look who is making a break for freedom. She spotted him. Lucky for him, she's not terribly interested in what he's up to. Run, little tortoise, run. I genuinely think he was frozen in fear there. But we just had to, as wonderful as it is to see Karula, we just had to give you the end part of our tortoise saga. A first for me in the wild. I've never seen a lion and a tortoise cuddling before. They were not, of course, cuddling. I think that tortoise just got very, very unlucky. In the meantime, our lovely lioness is continuing her ablutions in the morning, still sitting in the middle of the puddle. Oh, there we go. Thank you, girl. That's a relief. And yes, seeing her stand up, Joanne, I think they are bigger. I actually really do. At least this lioness is. They are taller and almost stockier. Hello, big girl. I'm gonna come right next to the car. Hello, big girl. So comfortable with our presence. And off she goes to find another more comfortable spot, hopefully this time urine-free and not as soggy. Right, Brent has relocated Karula, and she is sitting beautifully up on a termite mound, so let's jump on the back of his vehicle.
So we're still giving her nice distance, and she is continuing to move towards the east. Now, this is quite a good hunting technique. So, of course, if an animal like us looks into the sun, they lose their vision for a little bit. So, showing a bit of her feminine wiles. And as you can see, we're still keeping a nice distance from her while she's hunting. We're not going to go too close. If she stops on top of a termite mound, I will go closer so we can get a lovely view of her. But it is just absolutely magnificent to watch this supreme predator stalk through the African bushveld in this incredible morning light with this lovely green flush that's all around us. I'm so excited. I feel like I haven't seen Karula in an age. Well, James Richards just saying, so happy, was really hoping for a leopard this morning and really glad that it's Karula. We all love spending time with the Queen of Djuma, and I know a lot of you have been watching her for many years. And you can still hear the monkeys. Well, we owe the vervets a free breakfast this morning, because without them, we probably wouldn't have found her, because she was quite deep into the bush. And we just saw where the monkeys were sitting and looking down into the bush. And we just followed on, watching where the monkeys were looking to find the queen. I love the way that tail just flicks side to side. Now, there's a lot of different theories about why a leopard does that. I think it's concentration, personally. But you will see quite often when she has been spotted, even if she's just been spotted by a bird, she'll put her tail up. And that's almost a signal to a lot of animals like, listen guys, okay, you got me, I'm out, I'm not gonna try to eat you today, but watch out for tomorrow. You can see how the ellies, all this dark ground around us, the elephants have been digging profusely. So we're going to keep our distance from her while she's hunting, and while we do that, let's go have a look at some licking lions.
And some stunning affection between probably two sisters. Could be mother and daughter as well. I'm less familiar with the dynamics of the Styx Pride than I am with the Nkuhumas. Either way, it's always a special sight watching lionesses bond like this. It feels nice for them, and they love each other. One last update. Last view of our... Sorry, I know that they're licking each other beautifully. Last view. Taking advantage of their distraction, and off he goes. Just before he disappears beyond our camera's view. Now this grooming serves two purposes. One, it is nice for them. It strengthens the bonds of affection between the two members of a pride, or 3 or 4, or however many happen to be involved. 2, actually, it helps them get rid of parasites, sorry, not predators. Here you go, look how she's using her incisors there to nibble away at ticks. And we spoke about the fact that they do not allow oxpeckers or any other parasite removers, so a grooming session like this is a nice way of just sorting
Are you sure they don't
parasites
allow
out.
that, or are they just trying to eat parasite removers?
So VM's raised a good point. He's saying, are you sure that they don't allow it, or if it's because they eat them? And in order to find out the answer to my thoughts on that question, you will have to wait, because Karula is still about.
So, for a second there, it looked like she might have seen something, but then I just noticed she smelt something. As you can see, we're still keeping our distance here. I think she, from what I can see from the tracks from this distance, she smelt where Steenbok was sleeping. So she's now zigzagging in true Karula fashion, looking for where those Steenbok might be. So there is a possibility we might lose her because we are sticking a little bit back from her. But we will try our best to stay with her and not interfere, as we always do. There we go. She's actually straight through the gap there. There. There she is. She's eating some grass. And you do see the predators do that. It aids in their digestion. And Maggie's just mentioned what great shape she looks in, especially for a lady who's got little cubbies to feed. And that is very true, Maggie. She is looking in magnificent condition. And I think she might go up to that big termite mound for a rest. So let's hope she decides to climb the termite mound and have a little rest, and that'll give us the opportunity to get a bit closer to her.
Standing by.
No, you picked up on that.
So, morning, Leslie. Leslie's asking, oh dear, that is a very thick piece of bush she's just gone into. You just see her going through the monkey orange thickets off there. You can see this wall. So we're going to go try to go around it, and again, keeping a good distance. Leslie has actually asked a very interesting question. Will Karula, if she makes a kill, take the kill back to the cubs? Oh, look at that, Dave. Scent marking. Or will she bring the cubs to the kill? Now, Leslie, in this circumstance, neither. So if she makes a kill, she's going to more than likely feed on it for a while and then return to where the cubs are and then move between the kill and the cubs. So the cubs are too young to take to a kill, and she's probably too far from the den to take the kill back to the cubs. So she's not going to do either. She'll feed and then move backwards and forwards. So we've just lost her for a second. You can see this really thick area in front of us. And while we go around it, it might take us a little while. Let's go see what the lion's up to with Jamie.
As wonderful as it is to see the beautiful Karula, I think we got the easier job here. Our lions have not moved terribly far, basking in the morning light. Now, before you jumped onto the back of Brent's vehicle and had a look at the Queen of Juma, there was a discussion between Viam and myself, and you guys involved as well, as to whether or not they just don't allow oxpeckers or whether it's because they actually want to eat them. It's probably a combination of both. It's more irritation. Generally predators, even when you are working in terms of anesthetizing them, for example, in order to operate, or whether you're moving them, not something that we do a lot here on, because it's a much more open system, so it needs less managing. But if, for example, you have a vet in, with herbivores, you generally close their ears, stuff them with cotton wool, and you put a sort of blindfold over their faces. With lions in particular, they don't seem to enjoy that. You can cover their eyes, which helps too, because, of course, the animal's not completely out. There's still a level of awareness there, so they cover the eyes to reduce the stress. But you definitely cannot block their ears, because for some reason, even through the drugs that is administered to them, they just get incredibly antsy. And I think it's the same with the presence of the oxpeckers. They don't like that. Brent has found Karula again, so let's jump on the back with him.
There she goes. She's just crossed the road and keeping on her zigzagging through the bush. And no one knows she's here apart from us at the moment. And I'm not talking about the other game drives. I'm talking about all the inhabitants of the African bush. You can see her tail's down. There's no birds alarm calling at her yet. This is true Karula movement, zigzagging. Okay, we're gonna try find a way. She loves these monkey orange thickets, and there's a very good reason for that. Her favorite prey species also loves them, and being quite a small female, she tends to... Sorry, I'm just pointing to Yorsi. He also on his way to have a look at the queen. Her favorite prey species, the steenbokkie, loves these areas as well. That's why we quite often find Karula zigzagging through these thickets. It's a very effective hunting style that she uses. So guys, I'm just showing Yorks where she is. And Cara is wondering, what are the rules about driving off-road? So Cara, it completely depends on where you are. So at the moment we're on a crest on sandy soils. So after the rain, they've been very well drained. There we go. And she's going to come out into the gap here, Dave. And so there's no chance of us doing any damage as or sinking through the layer. We're on nice granite sandy soils here. And when it comes to trees, there's certain tree species that we straddle. Oh, look at her. She's marking with her preorbital glands. Probably going to give a little spray next. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Oh, exquisite. So there's certain tree species we will off-road over, and we straddle them. That means we don't use the tires to drive over them. What we do is we drive over the middle, and most of those trees will just pop up behind us. We also don't off-road over any slow-growing trees, so none of your ebonies, scotias, false marulas. But a lot of other trees, we are able to off-road, and even if we do drive over them, it's even less effect than what an elephant would do.
Okay. What do you think those tracks are doing then?
Look at her. And
Following them now.
the right makes us, why do we switch the car off? Well, firstly, because it's far more pleasant to watch the leopard quietly without having the constant rumble of the engine. Secondly, so we and the leopard can hear better, so we can hear if she's been spotted by anything. Oh, see, she's been spotted. You see how that tail comes up immediately when the bird starts shouting at her? Her tail's up, she's admitted defeat. You have spotted me, you silly little testicular, even though the chances of her hunting a testicular are very, very slim. A testicular, for those who don't know, is a tiny little bird. There you go, she's going to come right in front of us now. See, she just zigzags, she changes direction constantly. She's now been spotted, so there's birds alarm calling at her there. So now that's why she's changed direction. You can actually see she's being mobbed slightly by some white helmet shrikes. I'll see if we can show you them. They keep flying above her and giving that little high-pitched alarm call.
So then, get off the vehicle and have a good trip on those tracks.
Okay. So she's gone back into that monkey orange thicket. Well, welcome to Maryland in Ohio. Marilyn is asking, do leopards hunt in a pack like lions? So there we go, red bush willow, fast growing, and we straddle it so it'll pop up behind us. Just like that. See, there we go. It's popped right up just behind us. Maryland, they do not hunt in a pack. They are solitary hunters. So they'll hunt by themselves. See, I've just lost sight of her in this thicket, so I need to concentrate. I got her again. She's about to come out in front of us. Oh, my head's in the way. Sorry, guys. I know you'd much rather look at Karula than the back of my head. So Maryland, they are solitary hunters. The lions are the only social cat or social hunting cat. So most other animals most other cats hunt by themselves unless they have cubs, and even then the adult is the one who does 99% of the hunting. Look at that. I love that little tail flick. And you can see, ooh, look, she might have heard something or seen something. You see, she's a little bit more interested in something. I can't see what it is. Look at that. Isn't that stunning? I might have to reach for my camera. I love it when they lift their heads like that. I hope you guys are getting some great screenshots. You can see those lovely long vibrissae, the whiskers. So, a very big Safari Live welcome to Kitten Fun, who's a new viewer. And we've got a big kitty in front of us, Kitten Fun. And Kitten Fun would like to know, is this a cheetah or a leopard? It is a leopard. A cheetah has distinct spots, where, as you can see, a leopard has rosettes. So those rounded spots with a slightly darker area in the middle. A leopard is also quite a lot shorter and stockier than a cheetah. A cheetah is very tall and skinny. And if we look around the face, unfortunately her face is just behind a bush at the moment. You can see around her eyes is that very sort of light-colored line below her eyes, and you'll notice that in a lot of nocturnal animals. So that white line will help them to catch as much light as possible during the night. And I know some of you have probably already spotted that blood on her neck, and that is from her scratching. I think she's popped a big tick there, so don't worry, it's not from fighting or from an injury. It's just that she's popped a tick that was sitting on her neck. So there she goes. So you can see we're all staying nice distance from her, letting her move around hunting. And leopards will hunt whenever they get the chance. They are opportunists, so they will hunt day or night. They generally prefer to hunt in the evening and into the dark, because obviously then a lot of their advantage is higher, because a lot of the diurnal animals like impala can't see as well then. But Karula does do quite a lot of hunting during the day, and she's very successful at it. Oh, she's seen something. I just saw her run. I'm just going to stay back a little bit, just move slowly, but she jogged off there, and definitely stalking something. Okay, she's stopped now. Can you see her, Dave? Let's test Dave's eyes. Okay, can you see her? Mm-hmm. Watch my hand. Go in here. There. Zoom in there. A little bit to the right. Right. There we go. You see her ears. That dark thing, almost center of shot. That is the leopard. So Luke is wondering, what is a leopard success rate? So Luke, it's between 12 and 15% is their success rate. Let's go. Have you seen her yet? Up a bit, Darby. And a little bit to the right. She's now a little bit to the left. She's now in the middle of shot. You can just see her ears, and you can see how well a leopard's camouflage works. As she disappears into that little bit of shade, she almost disappears. There we go. Dave's found her now. Took him a little while there. It's okay, Dave, we'll forgive you this time. At least this is not an imaginary lion. So we stopped now. I saw her jog, and we've just stopped here, and we're just going to wait and see what she does. She possibly saw or smelt. There we go. She's definitely on the hunt now. You can just see how those shoulders drop. So Jen's just mentioning how perfectly she blends in with the surrounding vegetation. Okay, her tail's up now. I can just see the white flash. So I think she's been spotted by a bird. Oh no, she's gone down again. Have you got her now? Is that to that marula tree there, Dave? And where the termite mound is? Just to the left of it, in the shadow. There we go, there she is. Still, you see those ears are up, and she's definitely convinced that there's something worth snacking on in this area. As you can see, we're giving her a nice distance at the moment. So she's not stalking just yet. She's more still just walking through. I'm just going to get onto the road, which is right in front of us here. And I'm just going to say good morning to yours. Good morning, yours. So she's moving parallel, so I'm actually going to just drive past her now. I can see her there. But, of course, you don't want to be directly behind the leopard and stuff, especially if she is stalking something, because the noise of the vehicle might attract whatever she's stalking to look in our general direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit further past, And I've got visual of her there. I'm just going to turn the vehicle. And Dave should give you a view of her. Look at that, Dave. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. So she's actually stopped hunting now. She's shown herself. You got it, Dave?
Nope.
Just zoom. Straight through that gap. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. There she is. So she's now climbed up. Let me just maybe try. There. Oh, there's one little branch, of course. Oh, there. Oh, no. But she's climbed up, so she's actually either been spotted or she's given up on the hunt. Or maybe not given up yet, but I think she's hunting by smell at the moment. I think after all this rain, all the smells were washed away, and there's a very distinct smell that'll be left by a little antelope. If you were a leopard, of course, I don't think we would be able to smell it, even if we put our noses to the ground. So I think she's smelling out where they could possibly be. So this area in front of us is possibly one of the most difficult spots in Djuma to follow anything. It is incredibly thick, so we will try, but if I feel that it's getting too thick and we might disturb her or interfere with her hunting in any way, I'll definitely just leave her be. So you can see how alert she is, head up, searching the bush in front of her. Using those ears to great effect. She's probably listening for the most minuscule sound of a duiker plucking leaves off a bush. And it looks like she's given up. Oh dear. Okay. You're holding on, Dave?
Yep.
There's a big hole caused by elephants we're about to drive through. Oop-ah. Watch the branches there, Dave. I nearly got smack. We got her, Dave. I've lost her. She could have just moved and stopped in a shadow again. I'm just going to go a little bit more. As you can see, there's almost a wall of trees. That is the biggest problem about this particular area, is the elephants have pushed over so many trees in here that even if you do get through, so I think she might disappear. And she does have cubs, and we have had some fantastic views so far. And I don't want to... Oh, there we go. Well spotted, Dave. There she is. It's amazing how that camouflage works. She just disappears. Felicity is wondering, why do birds alarm call at her, even though she's not... Oh, she's definitely stalking. Felicity, I'll get you. There could be something we can't see close by here. So we're just going to sit still and listen and try peer through these thickets at what's going on. Here she comes, Dave. She's coming through this thicket. Yeah, I can just catch a rosette every second or two. There she goes, through that hole there. Oh, sorry, guys, I can just see her. Just make her out. I've lost sight of her now. So she's moving this way. She might come out over here, but I think she's going to be a little bit beyond that. Sorry, Felicity. Felicity was asking, why would a bird alarm call, even though it's not her intended target? We're just going to pop through here. So we're probably about 50 or 60 meters back from where I last saw her. Okay, I've got her again. Now we can test Dave's eyesight again. This is so much fun. Okay, to the right. Oh, you got her. Well done, Dave. So, Felicity, when leopards are cubs, they chase birds often and will try to catch them. And birds will alarm generally at all predators that get into their space, whether it be a snake or a leopard or even a lion. So it's just an instinctive response to anything that can possibly eat you. Oh, she's changing direction again. Looks like she changed direction. As I said, we're staying quite far back from her. I don't want to be too close to her while she's hunting. I don't want to make it easier for her. I also don't want to make it harder for the prey to escape. We're here as neutral observers, and hopefully she does catch something because she's got those cubbies to feed. 1 second, guys. Standing by.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get in here, my vehicle.
Copy, Ayos. I don't think I'm going to be able to follow much further either. She's going right into those sections of broken trees.
Thanks a lot for that, Brent.
No problem. Glad you got to enjoy it. So I'm just going to sit for a little bit and listen, even though we don't have visual of her. I don't want to disturb her hunting. So while we're going to let her move on a little bit, and I'm just going to stand by and listen to see if I hear any more alarm calls further on. While we do that, let's jump on with Jamie.
While you were with Brent, one of the lionesses decided to move right up next to the car. I think possibly because we've chosen a nice spot of shade. They've decided that they are comfortable enough to come right up to us. She's lying, if I had to give you a sort of an estimate of the distance, she's lying about 2.5 meters from us, so about 7.5 feet away from the vehicle. Totally comfortable. There you go. You can see exactly how close she is. Fast asleep. Very smelly here as well, but it doesn't smell like lions. It smells like waterbuck to me. I know that we've been incredibly lucky on this Sunday morning. Great way to start off a Sunday morning with 2 cat sightings in one morning show. Remay was wondering how close is Karula to the Styx females? Because, of course, the last thing we want to do is have them encounter each other. Remay, if I'm completely honest, I have no idea where Brent is. I have no idea where that sighting is. I'm on a different radio channel. So I'm sitting with controlling the sighting on one channel. There we go, we've got information. And Remay, he is basically on the other side of the reserve. So no, they are not close at all. We are in the, to give you some perspective, I wish I had my map with me, but I don't. We are in the southwestern corner of Djuma. We're right down there at the join between Arathusa and Djuma. That is the corner of Djuma. Brent is up in the middle of the northeastern corner. So we're in the southwestern, he's in the northeastern corner, in a straight line. If I had to guess, I don't know exactly where he is, but if I had to guess about where he was, it would be about a mile away, if not more, maybe just more than a mile, and just over 2 kilometers or 2.5 kilometers. He's quite far away. And Karula, she might not be a spring chicken in terms of leopard age, but that means she comes with plenty of experience. These ladies were not quiet last night. I'm sure that Karula knows that they are here. And they crossed last night around Simbombili and obviously came south from there, so that's up towards the gate and our northwestern corner, and they've walked all the way down south, calling as they go. The big belly stretched out. That is not just buffalo. You know, funnily enough, I think all 3 of them might be pregnant. I haven't had the best look at the female's stomach that's on the left. Oh, what's up, girl? She just made a little groaning noise as she sat up. That's what I did this morning, my girl, at 4 o'clock this morning. I also made that sound as I sat up. And since we've got this view of the lioness, and hopefully she's going to hold her paw still for us, so that we can answer a question from Marcel, who's watching all the way up north in Quebec, who wants to know, do they have extra thumb claws like domestic cats do? And they do, Marcel, on their front feet, and that's actually, if you look on your screen there, you can see her toes, and then on the inside, about a centimeter up, or an inch up from that top toe, there is another paw there, and there's another toe and another claw, known as the dew claw. It is one of the most powerful in a lion's weaponry. It's there in order to help them grip prey. I say fortunate enough, I have before encountered a lion carcass, and I was able to have a really close look at the anatomy and the paws of this lion. He was killed naturally in a fight with other males, and those dew claws are absolutely enormous. Although they're very similar in design to domestic cats, so 5 toes on the front, 4 on the back, the size difference and the strength difference in those claws is quite mind-boggling. And if I can sort of give you a rough idea, when I took the dew claw out of that dead lion and had a look at it in terms of scale, it was probably about the length and far thicker than my index finger. I wouldn't say I have the largest hands in the world, but that is a considerably large claw. And you'll see those claws start to come out when they're hunting and attempting to grip onto the back of prey. So yes, lions, just like domestic cats, very similar foot structure. It's known as digitigrade, so actually quite similar in a way to what James was telling you about the elephant yesterday and about where the wrist joint sits on an elephant. Lions are fairly similar in the sense that they walk on their tiptoes. It's not quite as elongated or pronounced as it is in elephants. But essentially what we think of sometimes as their knees is actually their ankles. The knees are, and their elbows are further up the arm itself, bending just like ours do, and then up to the shoulder joint. They don't have a heel in the same way we do. We have what's known as a plantigrade foot structure, so we're flat-footed, the whole bone, and the bones of the foot extending all the way down, whereas they walk on their toes, essentially, with plenty of padding, and the reason they do that, it's quieter. One of those adaptations, built for speed and built for stealth. Having a jolly good clean, and those spines sitting on her tongue, rasping through her fur, and I'm just going to be quiet for a second, see if we can hear her again. No, unfortunately not. Oh, not quite. My goodness, look at all that tongue. That is a serious tongue. Not often that you get to see them quite so extended. You usually only see the first half of it. And there we go, a bit of rasping again. I don't think you're going to be able to hear it, so I'll try and describe it to you. It's almost like it's rubbing your hand on, or rubbing sandpaper down wood. It's a rasping sound. It's very soft, very subtle, but it is there. You can hear her as she cleans her fur. I think she's actually got a clicky jaw as well. I keep hearing clicks as she does that. Beautiful. There's nothing quite like the color of a lion or a leopard, but a lion in the morning sunlight. Those eyes. I'm going to go lie down with her pride mate now. She's going to lie down on top of her. Yep. Ooh. Grumble, 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 grumble. grumbling at each other with love. Very gentle growls. The one just moved and rolled over since she sat on her head. Oh, look at those eyes. Very common when lions clean themselves like that. When they have a really jolly good clean, when they yawn a couple of times and lick their feet, it's very common for them to get up and move afterwards. The question is just how far they're going to decide to move. There she is, relaxed and down. Now, they've all proved incredibly successful in terms of their hunting abilities and strategies. Oh, there's that paw, beautifully stretched out. You might even see the claws start to peek out of their claw sheaths. Awesome view of that paw, the dirt underneath the pad. An update for some of you, that many of you will know Shanae. She's just joined us at the sighting with her vehicle full of guests. Morning! I'm sure very much enjoying her first few weeks as a fully qualified safari guide, and I admire her tremendously for coming to join the guiding team of the Sabi Sands. It's wonderful to have her on board. Right, back to the conversation about the heavily pregnant lionesses. Anna-Marie would like to know when a lioness is as pregnant, when she's sort of reaching late stage or the late terms, will they participate less in hunting? Not in my experience, Anna-Marie. Generally, they take up the same positions and the same risks. One of those amazing things about animals compared to people, the way in which they are adapted to survival, even whilst heavily pregnant. And of course, for someone like, not someone, but something like a Karula, a female like Karula, as a leopard, would be hunting all on her own, even right up until she goes into labor. And the same applies for the lionesses, even though there are others to do the hunting for them. They don't know that they need to be resting up in their condition, and they don't, generally. Anna-Marie, that being said, it's not impossible. Oh, yes, get comfortable there on the grass. Big sigh. A big girl. You're now even closer than the other lioness was. I'm not going to move for a while because I don't want to scare you with the starting of the engine. It's a beautiful view. Anna-Marie, that being said, I've said that I've never witnessed them taking a back seat in hunts and letting the other females hunt for them. Is it possible that they take on, or that they don't do as much running, for example? Maybe they aren't the main chaser in a hunt? I don't think we know enough to say whether or not that happens. And certainly in the case, as I think is the case with these lions, I think they're all three of them pregnant. So obviously you can't all take turns in your internment as pregnant ladies to sit back and let everybody else do the work. But whether or not there's some difference in their strategy, I don't know enough to be able to tell you, and I don't think anybody does. But I'll double check that for you, Anna-Marie, and just see if there's any research that's been done into pregnant females. To the best of my knowledge, there's not much difference in their hunting strategies. And speaking of hunting strategies, let us find out how Karula's hunt went and whether Brent has any news for you.
So she went into some really thick stuff, and as I said, we're staying quite far back. We don't want to interfere in any way, whether it be a positive for her or a negative for her. So we could hear some birds alarm calling deeper into the block, but we made the call to leave her be. Let's let her hunt in peace. We can't really follow her without affecting in that really thick bush. So we've let her carry on, and hopefully she's successful. She does have 2 little hungry mouths to feed, and maybe we'll catch up with her a little bit later on the safari, or even on the sunset safari. We know which general area she's in, and we all know Karula likes to zigzag like no other leopard I've ever followed. So who knows, she might just pop back up onto the road. So it was really wonderful. We got to catch up with her. So great. I love spending time with that particular leopard, and I know all of you guys do as well. And also, we do want to give her the space she needs to hunt and to raise those cubs. So we're going to continue on, see what else is out there in the bushes, and hopefully we'll have lots of other interesting things to show you. So while we move on, I know you guys can't wait to get back to Jamie and those gorgeous girls.
The third lioness, also now having a jolly good wash. She'll probably get up in a moment as well. And as you can see, their patch of shade slowly shrinking away, and she's starting to be exposed to the sun. And there's much better shade right here next to our vehicle. So I imagine we will soon have a third lioness lying down right on top of us. A very special feeling that, to sit with an animal that is relaxed enough to behave in the way it would, regardless of whether or not you were there. And to be content to lie right next to you in the present. And there's plenty of choice for them. We haven't, maybe the way I phrased it makes it sound like we've stolen the only patch of shade. We definitely haven't. There's plenty of options for them. It just so happens that they feel comfortable enough with us to come and sit with us. Also, same as the technique of the lioness before her, scraping away at those claws and feet, making sure that there's no build-up of dirt around them. In a very lazy way. She's the last female to have a good look and see if she's pregnant. As for how pregnant they are, that remains to be seen. I would not claim to be any sort of expert in terms of determining exactly how far along they are. To me, the large female in front of us that you're looking at on your screen now, to me she looks pretty much coming close towards the end of her term. But that remains to be seen. It will probably disappear off on her own for a while, and we'll only find out in a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two whether or not she has given birth, depending on where she decides to disappear off to. And if anybody bumps into her, of course. White tips of the whiskers that you can see, all a very important part of being a nocturnal hunting cat and moving through the bush. Make sure that you don't poke out your eyes or poke yourself in the face. Now, chatting a little bit about the pregnancy of these females, Luke would like to know, is it likely that the Birmingham boys are the fathers of these cubs? Or is it possible it is another male? That is a very interesting, quite a complex question, because more and more research is suggesting that up to 45% of lioness pregnancies, or the paternity of cubs, is not actually the males belonging to the coalition that dominates the pride. It's one of those fascinating things. We've chatted a lot about that when it comes to leopards and the fact that they move through an area and will mate with as many males as possible in order to ensure that the males of the area think that they are the fathers. So Luke, probably yes, most likely the Birmingham boys are the fathers, but only just. And who knows what these ladies have been up to, whether or not they have found themselves a mystery male. There are nomadic males that move throughout areas regularly. Just because we don't see them doesn't mean that they're not there. And the Styx home range could put them more towards the territories of other males as well. It's a difficult one. One of those things that you will never know unless you actually do genetic tests on them. Certainly the Birmingham boys will think that they are the fathers. They've been seen mating with them. There we go. Hi, girl. Where would you like to go? Hiccups. How awesome is that? Beautiful. Right behind the vehicle. And down. You're a good girl. Did we pick a spot that you want to be in? Oh, how lovely. Nothing like being surrounded by a pride of lions first thing in the morning. You can go to sleep, big girl. It's fine. Don't stress. Obviously, this is an ideal situation, although maybe not so ideal. Franklin, shush. I'm talking. Okay, I'll let you finish first. Here we go. Flopped behind the back of the vehicle. What I was going to say was this is an ideal situation because the animal, rather than us encroaching on the animal's space, the animal has chosen to come to us first. Now, for those of you who see us in these open vehicles, and I know that certainly if you're watching for the first time and you haven't seen this happen before, you might be concerned that we might be in some kind of danger and some kind of risk. And the answer is no, because our cameramen generally know exactly how to behave on the back of the vehicle, and the lions are incredibly accustomed to it. Plus, the fact that she chose to come to us is a very important factor in that decision. That being said, wild animals, you never get complacent. So, although I'm perfectly comfortable with her lying here, she's not going to jump on the back of the vehicle with us. We're not on our menu, we're not a threat to her, she has no reason to. I'm not ever going to take that for absolute 100% granted. I'm always watching what's happening in a sighting around me, even if it's a perfectly comfortable situation, just in case we have to act fast. It's just a matter of reading their body language. You don't ever want to get complacent where wild animals are concerned, and you certainly don't want to be arrogant enough to believe yourself, fully capable of predicting exactly what they're going to do, because they're animals and they're wild. And it's their choice what they decide to do. Luke, we were talking about the fathers. The Birmingham boys will certainly consider themselves to be the fathers of the female's cubs. They have mated, and that is a distinct possibility, probably with about 55, 60, maybe up to 70% chance that they are. But lionesses are sneaky when it comes to mating. They will do anything for the safety of their cubs. So mating with as many males as possible will ensure the safety of their offspring. Because whilst male lions maybe don't know an area per se if they're nomadic, they will still recognize individual females that they have mated with, and they will know that they have mated with them. It's a very clever strategy, and one that hasn't been fully researched yet. It's something that is slowly coming to light more and more, and something that took researchers at the time quite by surprise. You might also find that those exact numbers or those exact statistics that I gave you, they were from a report, but you might find that it differs from area to area. So different lion prides and different males may behave in completely separate ways in other parts of in the country where there are other ecological circumstances at play. Interesting one. Goodness me. Franklin, are you quite finished? Or are you still going to shout at us? Have you spotted them? Ah, there we go. Well done, Liam. There's our noisy culprit responsible for the racket that you've been hearing. Here's our lioness watching it walk away. Is she? Oh no, just the way that the perspective is. It almost looked like she was resting her head against the tree, which they do. I'm going to make use of pillows wherever you can find them. And just to continue our discussion is not a word, discussion about the mating and the dynamics of the lions of this area. Liz was wondering, since we know now that the Nkuhumas and the Sticks are sort of both mating with the Birmingham boys, is there a chance that this leads to a loss of genetic diversity? It's the way that it always is with lion dynamics. Listen, Franklin, you and I need to have a very stern talking to about who gets to talk and waiting your turn and not interrupting. You finished? Good. Right. So, male territories, much larger than those of the home ranges of the female and generally overlap with several different prides. And it's one of the reasons why tenures of male lions tend to be so short. They've got about 1, maybe 2 sets of cubs to get through before they reach the sort of point past their prime and a new set of males comes in. So what it does for the lioness prides of the area, although yes, to an extent, it means that 2 sets of females are mating with the same males, that's not really a problem because it provides them with extra stability. So let's say the Birmingham boys controlled the Sticks and the Matimbas still controlled the Nkuhumas, for example, and they sat right next to each other on territorial boundaries. The Nkuhumas could find themselves in serious risk of the Birmingham boys killing their cubs because that is a natural male response to reduce competition for his own offspring. And the Matimbas might do something similar in reverse. So it makes sense to have a male coalition in charge of several different prides to provide a little bit of extra security for that generation of cubs coming through. Then once he's reproduced, the males have, and don't forget there are 5 Birmingham boys, so there's still variation within that. They're not all directly related to each other, they're cousins or brothers, but they're not the same lion. And certainly different males will have fertilized different females. Goodness me, Franklin. He missed the day at etiquette school. Doing his dawn chorus. And I've completely derailed from my train of thought. Yes, so they'll have maybe 1 set of cubs, maybe 2, at which point a new set of younger males will be able to come through. They will kill any remaining cubs that are not past or have not reached a certain age, bring the females back into estrus and thus start mating with them, and therefore keep the genetic lines of lions totally fresh. I'm sorry, girl. I'm bugging you. It's all right. Doesn't look too stressed. And she just gave me quite a serious look. And she's still doing it. She's still looking straight into my eyes. Robin was wondering, Robin watching in Maryland, is it unnerving to have a lion look you straight in the eyes? Robin, after a certain period of time, you get very used to it. But I can't begin to describe that feeling. It's that instant connection to that animal, and I don't mean connection in an affectionate way necessarily, although of course I feel affection to them. I certainly don't feel the same towards me. I'm merely just something else in their immediate environment. But Robin, the first time a lion looks into your eyes, it becomes exceptionally intimidating. There is atavistic instinct at play there that immediately kicks in, and you're aware of something much bigger, much stronger, much faster, with far larger teeth and certainly with far larger claws than you have, and that is perfectly capable, if she chose to do so, of causing serious damage. And yes, that is an awareness that strikes, or certainly has, it's quite hard to take this conversation seriously when they're being so cutesy, rolling over and cuddling themselves.
Now it's a long line.
Now it's a very long line. It's a long, double-length, 8-legged lion. Viam's absolutely right. Amber, the feeling of when a lion looks into your eyes remains a constant fascination to me. It no longer induces fear, but there is an awareness there, and I can't quite describe it. Your heart rate lifts almost automatically, but it's something that I've come to cherish, those moments and that connection that you are allowed, that we are lucky enough to have with the animals we get to view every day. Now, there is one animal that when it looks into your eyes, you are very much aware of some intelligence looking back at you, and that, of course, is the elephant. And speaking of elephants, I think that Brent may possibly have found you some, so why don't you go and have a look?
Look at that. There's an elephant having a little rest on the bank of a little creek bed, just taking some weight off of that heavy head. And there we go. Let's start feeding again. We found a lovely big breeding herd, probably about 25 or 30 individuals. And the rest of them are actually passing behind us, but we will have a look at them now. Look at this, look at this, look at that. Oh, hello. Saying hello to the other elephant. Well, it almost just looks like just resting that heavy head and having a scratch against there we go, having a nice... Isn't that beautiful? Now, up the steep bank, look onto her knees to get up. Isn't that amazing? We have been so spoiled with elephants in the last couple of months. I'm just going to move the car slightly. We've seen some incredible behavior. And we're going to go catch up with the rest of the herd and are about to pop onto the road up ahead here. Isn't this amazing? What a morning we're having so far. So hi, Samantha, who's 10. And Samantha's wondering, how tall will a baby elephant grow to be? Well, Samantha, it depends on a male or female. The females will probably get to just over 2.5 meters at the shoulder, and the males can get up to 4 meters. I'm afraid, Samantha, my feet conversions are not very good. And a big female elephant will probably weigh around 3,500 kilograms, 3.5 ton. And a big male can weigh up to 6,000 kilograms. The largest ever recorded elephant is from southern Angola, and that weighed 9,000 kilograms, 9 tons. Absolutely incredible. Hello. I'm hoping they're going to move towards the Buffalo's Hook waterhole and go for a splish splash. We're sitting now, the last bits of the herd are just off to here. The rest are actually using the road as a highway. And we get asked often how the roads are built and whatnot. And often the roads are old elephant paths. So we have a question from within our very own team, from Leanne, who's one of the APs, about an elephant's feet, as we see the walking away from us there. She would like to know whether they're born with calloused feet or not. Well, Leanne, what happens is in utero, those thick pads will develop, very similar to the way the warthog's elbow pads develop for when they feed. So they are born with a very thick layer of skin on their feet. Of course, as they get older, they become harder and more calloused the more they walk on this in this rough environment. But they are born with a nice thick layer of skin already to protect their feet. Okay, let's move forward a little bit. It's very important, start the car, don't move immediately, and into low range so we can keep our revs really low so we don't upset the ellies at all, although this herd looks particularly relaxed. It's always good practice to do it, even with a very relaxed herd, just in case you do come across a herd one day that's not so relaxed. looks like they've changed the direction slightly, or they split. Seems like some of them have gone off into this very thick bush here. And looks like they all have gone off into this very thick bush here. So there's quite a few little babies with this herd. So we're not going to follow them into that thick bush. So I think we're going to go back to the last members of the herd who will catch up with them shortly. But what a morning so far. And we've been quite blessed with the big hairies and scaries. I don't think... Dave, can you remember? Well, we tried to film a steenbok, but I think that's about it. Other than that, it's been lion, leopard, and elephant. Can't really ask for anything better. So these ellies are going to some very thick bush here, and lots of little babies, so there's no need to delve after them. And we'll just stay with this. I think it's a young bull. Hello, little man. Now, he has taken a very large piece of buffalo thorn there. I hope you're going to finish your food, mister. No wasting here. You can hear him crunching on that branch. There we go. He's going to bring it back up to his mouth. He's trying to get... There we go. So what he's trying to get there is the bark and the rich cambium layer that transports the nutrients. There we go. There we go. You've got a nice big piece of bark there. That transports the nutrients from the roots through to the rest of the plant and the water. Hey, mister, that's wasting. Pick it up again. There we go. Good boy. The elephants are very messy feeders, and they don't digest a lot of what they eat. Look, isn't that fascinating? He's standing on the edge of the branch and then using his trunk and his tusk as a lever to break it up and get to the good bits. It's amazing how dexterous they are with that trunk.
Still 3 more, and maybe...
Look, there we go. He's doing it again. So, using his... There we go. And standing on it so it doesn't move, and he's able to rip the bark off.
Maybe you can tell me when you tell me it will be loud.
Pesky thorns getting stuck on all the surrounding bushes. Now, Justin was wondering, can you feel when a large elephant walks past you? Unbelievably not, Justin. So they have an incredible sort of shock absorber system in their feet, and they've got this large cartilaginous pad, and they can walk very softly and very quietly for an animal of that size. Here we go. He's finally got the big piece of bark he wanted. Lots of effort. As I said, they don't digest a lot of what they eat. Probably, depending on what they're eating, between 40 and 60% of what they eat is digested. So not very effective feeders, and that's why they have to continue to feed throughout the day and night. And a young bull like this will probably eat 150 kilograms, so over 400 pounds of vegetable matter in a day. They have the capabilities of also drinking about 100 liters of water in a day. To give you an idea, their trunk can hold about 8 liters of water at any one time. 8 liters is just under 2 gallons. if we watch carefully, he's going on the ground there, Dave. He's moved a fallen down tree to get that luscious grass. So normally in the summer months, this is an abnormal year because we have been having quite a big drought, and 80% of an elephant's diet will consist of grass. And then during the winter months, it'll change, and 80% will consist of trees and bushes, only 20% grass. And that's just due to food availability. But this year, there's been a huge focus on trees and bushes because there just hasn't been the grass to eat. As you can see, young bull staying on the peripheries. He hasn't quite kept up with the rest of the breeding herd. Look at that, straight through. Not a worry in the world about those thorns on the brackthorn, those monstrous white thorns that would possibly impale you or I if we tried to do that, and we'd be squealing like a warthog that had a leopard attached to it. But that elephant's thick skin is so well adapted, and it protects them from all the thorns. You just put your head through it, and those lovely long eyelashes is one of the defenses they have to close their eyes when they get close to a thorn or whatnot, so their eyelashes will feel that branch or thorn before it goes into their eye. When he's found lots of nice grass under a fallen down tree there, long green grass. Look at how he's moving that fallen tree. I'm going to try and move back a little bit, and we can try and see what he's doing a bit better. See, very important. Let the car run for a little bit. Let him realize that we're not a threat at all, and then move very slowly. You can see now, he initially lifted his head. Now he's gone back to feeding. And he's no more than about 4 foot from Dave at the moment. There we go. So when spending time with an incredibly large and powerful animal like an elephant, it's very important to understand their body language, and that's what keeps us safe, our experience and our knowledge. Look at him, after all that grass, and he's moved a fallen down branch to there we go, he's going to do it again, to get to the other grass that's been protected. So the other animals obviously are not as strong as him. They can't just lift up fallen down branches and trees to get to what's growing underneath. There we go, look at that nice big mouthful of fresh green grass. It looks to me to be a very good grass species. It looks actually to be a grass called panicum, and that's a very, very sought after grazing grass by lots of animals. Hey, mister. So if we have a look at his eyes there, Dave, that he's so nice and close, we can have a look at those eyelashes in detail. See those lovely long lashes? I'm sure there's a few ladies who are a little jealous out there of this little boy who's got beautiful long lashes. And that's to protect the eyes from branches and thorns. So they'll touch the eyelashes first. So now he's coming even closer to us. Hey, mister. Look at that. So now it's very important to keep still. If he put his trunk out, he would actually reach over the whole vehicle. He got a little bit nervous, decided not to come any closer. He's going to move around the back of the car. Hey, don't get cheeky now, mister. Just behave yourself. He's coming around the other side now. I think he's going to slowly move off and join the rest of the breeding herd. And we had a question through, so why did I call it a breeding herd? So when we refer to a breeding herd of elephants, it was from Jen in Minnesota. It's females with babies. So those females will be actively breeding when in estrus with musk bulls. So you do get bull herds of elephants. Sometimes they can get quite big, up to 10, 15 even. Sometimes even over 30 I've seen in other parts of Africa. And that will be a bull herd. So no breeding amongst all the boys. You need the girls for that. So a breeding herd is generally a group of related females and their offspring. Oh, look at this. This is so wonderful. Now, a very interesting question from Siberia, who's one of our zoomies. For those who are not sure what a zoomie is, a zoomie is a wonderful creature that looks after and zooms on the stationary waterhole cameras all about. And Siberia would like to know, do elephants ever chew on bones like giraffe, impala, and some of the other antelopes? Siberia, I've never seen them do it. I've seen them pick up many bones and play with bones, but I've never actually seen them chew bones. On the other hand, I have seen them eat mud, and I've even seen them eat mud here, and specifically around the Moati drainage, and I think they get more calcium probably from chewing that mud than they would get from chewing a bone. So I might be wrong, but I personally have never seen an elephant chew a bone. And I have seen a lot of elephants. The area I grew up in, Botswana, we could see up to 1,000 elephant in an afternoon game drive along the Kondo River. Well, while those elephants move off, we're going to do the same. Siberia has also said, well, let's go find a buffalo so we can see 4 out of the big 5 in one drive. Siberia, I will do my best to find you a buffalo. I think our best chance is to head down towards where some pans, and we might find one of those old boys having a spa day. So while we leave the great grey behemoths and go in search of a dark black, not so great, but still a behemoth, let's go back to Jamie with the gorgeous ladies.
Such exhausted kitty cats. Hey, big girls, still fast asleep. Now, I did move because all 3 of them moved straight behind the vehicle, and I moved both for their sake and for ours. Luckily, they didn't even stir when we turned on the vehicle and moved away from them, and just repositioned ourselves ever so slightly so that we've got a view of them and that we don't have to twist around to try and film them from behind us. And I wanted them, because they were all up with their heads up, I didn't want to wait until they were fast asleep and then have to leave them for the morning and start the engine and disturb them. I waited until all 3 heads were up, and then we moved forward a bit and out of their personal space. Interesting to watch the 3 of them and the way that they are behaving. First of all, of course, we get that tremendous sense that they are very comfortable with us at the vehicle, or within the vehicle itself. That being said, we've been kept a very close eye on by the female closest to us. Every time we move around or we shift, she just looks up and gives us a careful stare, bearing in mind that all 3 of them chose to come right up to us. But she has watched us carefully, and I think that's because she's the closest to giving birth to her cubs. She's just that little bit. She's got the pregnancy hormones. The fact that she probably feels a little bit uncomfortable and a bit vulnerable being that large and that close to term. And it immediately plays a role in the impacts on the way in which she behaves. I think this could well be not one of our last chances to see her forever, but I think we're getting close to the point at which she's going to go and hide herself away. I'm no expert, I'm not a vet or an expert on lion pregnancy, but it looks to me like that should be the case. And you get to the point right before they're about to give birth, they start to develop an almost waxy-like look around the nipples as they start to lactate. And I'm struggling, but I think I might have seen a couple of examples of that on her. Wonderful news for the Styx Pride, soon to be supplemented by the newest members. And she'll keep
of tiny paws.
Pitter-pat, exactly. VM's got it exactly right. We shall soon be expecting the pitter-patter of tiny paws wandering through the bush. That's such a cute image. It's far more appealing to me than the pitter-patter of tiny feet. Now, we've spoken a lot about the dynamics and the role which the Birmingham boys will play in the lives of these cubs, and the fact that they have provided a secure situation in which the females can raise their cubs. Jess, who's watching on Twitter, was wondering, will a male lion, protect cubs that he believes to be his own? And the answer to that, Jess, is yes, in a way. By providing and defending a territory in which the females can safely raise cubs in a way that other males are discouraged, males that might be a threat to lion cubs, they would be discouraged from entering the territory. By doing that, they are actually almost actively, or maybe a better way is it's a consequence of protecting a territory and creating that safe environment for the cubs to live in. That being said, let's say this is a situation now, we've got happy families, we've got cubs scampering about over mommy, and proud daddy's lying up a little way away in the shade. It's painting a picture that maybe we will see in 2 or 3 months' time when these cubs are born. And a leopard's a bad example, a clan of hyenas enters the scene. Yes, absolutely, the males are going to chase those chase those hyena away. That's an example of where they are actively protecting it. Whether or not it's because they're specifically protecting the cubs or they're acting on natural male instincts, which is to get rid of the competition, is up to you to decide exactly how you interpret that. They certainly are exceptionally tolerant of their youngsters. They'll let them climb all over them. They'll let them bite their ears. Another example, let's say a buffalo herd came through, and buffalo are known to kill lion cubs. They actually actively seek out and stamp on lion cubs if they find where they're hiding. Would a male step in that situation? Yes, probably, absolutely he would, to remove them from his offspring. So that whilst they are not dads in the specific sense, let's say like a male raptor might be, playing an active role in feeding and guarding his youngster, they certainly play an enormous, if somewhat backstage part in the survival of their cubs. And we chatted and we mentioned buffalo. I know that Brent was on a search for the big four on your wonderful Sunday morning. Let us find out if he has found the final and 4th member for you.
So we found the missing member of the big four, but I'm more excited by the bird on its back. It is a yellow-billed oxpecker. And there's been a phenomenal recovery of these birds in the last couple of years. And, of course, there's the buffalo underneath it. And, sorry, I forgot to mention that. But I'm far more excited about the bird on the back. And they are absolutely beautiful, quite a bit bigger than the red-billed oxpecker. And we'll try to get close again. That oxpecker was being very kind, letting us get very close to him and the buffalo without flying off. And you can see that incredible color in its eye, that red eye. So we came in search of buffalo, and we got a bonus. Oh, he's having a scratch. Now, you see, he's just having a little scratch there. Now, there we go, there's that yellow-billed oxpecker. Let's have a look at the buffalo. Trying to get the ticks out from behind his ears, having a good scratch on the branch there. Now, a very interesting thing is, especially when you're around drainage systems, you find timberties that have been debarked. And timberties are quite noxious, and elephants don't eat them generally, and they won't eat the bark. And look at that. Oh, is it? You can hear that oxpecker. It's calling to the others that are answering off in the bush here. There's another buffalo in there with another oxpecker, and I saw it earlier. It was a juvenile yellow-billed. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if the juvenile... Yeah, it's coming, come back. It looks like it's flying to join the adult. I saw it take off. Calling its youngster. So the young one doesn't quite have those coloration yet. The bull's still a dark grey. Here it comes. There's the baby. Boom. At least that listens, unlike human babies who probably don't come when they're called. So we're going to see if we can have a look now at both of them. These buffalo are slowly moving towards a nice set of wallows that are just down here. We're just going to pop up ahead of him. He's nearly at the wallow. Hey, big boy. And you have two pretty hitchhikers. There you go, he's going to... He's found some nice grass to graze on. So there we go, we've got a perfect view of the juvenile and adult oxpeckers on the back. And you can see the juvenile hasn't quite developed the colors of the adult yet. So the beak hasn't got its colors yet. But it is starting to get that beautiful red eye. Not quite as prominent. Look at that eye color as that adult comes into the sun. What a beautiful bird. And the juvenile there, and very well behaved. I'm not sure whether it's mom or dad, but one of them called and came running from the buffalo next to it. Look at them balancing as the buffalo has a scratch against... Oh, look at that. Come out a bit, Dave. He's giving that buffalo thorn a good scratching. So buffalo with the buffalo thorn. Oh, he looks like he's enjoying that. Oh, and imagine that. Here comes maybe mom or dad with the rest of the kids on the other buffalo. So we've got 5, 6 yellow-billed oxpeckers with us at the moment. Or actually, I think mom and dad, the other 2 from this buffalo who was scratching, decided he was moving around too much. So I went to the buffalo that is not as difficult to sit on. And he's got the whole fam dam on the back there. Mom, dad, and a sub-adult. So just saying, you find Timbuti trees that have been debarked, and they're debarked by buffalo, doing exactly what this particular one's doing to the buffalo thorn. And there's a very particular reason they choose the Timbuti tree. As a lot of our viewers will know, it's highly noxious. It has a very poisonous milky latex. And what the buffalo does, obviously that hard horn is keratin, and they rub it against that noxious tree, and they get that milky latex stuck inside those little hollows and rivets that are on the boss of the buffalo, and it acts as a natural fly and tick repellent. Isn't that absolutely amazing? Well, the oxpeckers have taken off. They've gone to look for better buffalo. There we go. Just put out of the way. Oh, maybe not into the way. So, Marianne in Arkansas was actually asking about the Timbuti a bit earlier on the safari, and says the white latex reminds her of the milkweed plant, and she's wondering if it's any relation. And none whatsoever. And the poison that it has is quite different from milkweed. We do get milkweeds here as well, and after this bit of rain, we might get a few growing in the Mawati drainage. Just want to see if this old man is going to climb into the mud. I'm just going to park opposite. See if he decides to come. How's that, Dave? Perfect. Okay. I'm that good, Dave. It's always perfect. So you can see the buffalo is slowly making his way towards the pan, and these old bulls love these pans. And not only are they a walking smorgasbord of food for the oxpeckers, but if he decides to lie in this pan, every terrapin will be most joyed, and the terrapins will actually swim up to the buffalo and feed off the ticks. So same as the oxpecker, except in the water, feeding off the ticks. But they can be quite a pain to animals like buffalo because they've got very sharp little beaks, and they will often not only get the tick, but quite a big lump of flesh as well. So you watch buffalo jump in great discomfort when being latched upon by a terrapin. And I'm actually, quite often, when a buffalo first arrives like this, if we look carefully, you can sometimes see the little heads of the terrapin moving at some speed towards the buffalo. I can't see them yet, so I'm just going to go back a little bit. I'm behind a bush, but I think you and I will be able to see if I just reverse slightly. We still good here, Dave?
Yep.
Okay, now I can see as well, see if there's any terrapins have made the discovery that there is a buffalo on its way. No, it seems like terrapins are still a bit sleepy.
Michael, Ben.
And it is turning out to be a beautiful day. Very hot at the moment. I'm severely regretting my wardrobe choice this morning. Wearing long pants was not a good idea. I thought it might get a bit cold and rainy again this morning, but it has not.
When you come west along the boundary, and then
Dave, have you spotted any terrapins? I haven't seen any yet.
where he's going to get in,
Have you seen one? Oh, there he is.
and
There's a terrapin looking at the buffalo. Zoom in slightly between the two buffalo. A little bit to the left. There we go, center shot.
next road,
A little bit right.
take that.
There we go. Zoom. Here we go. There's a little terrapin there. Is it a terrapin?
Probably dry.
Looks like it. Quite far away, but probably waiting for that buffalo to lie down so it can have access to all those juicy ticks in the armpits. Oh, look at that buffalo. Not often you see a buffalo drink like that. I think he's just playing. I think he's just having a good time there. He's not actually drinking or playing with the water. Maybe he found a rogue chili plant out in the bush and he needs to cool his mouth down. Now, strange enough, in all my travels in Africa, that is the rogue plant I've found in many, many places. The chili, particularly the bird's eye chili, the little one. There you go. Clean your nostrils. Lovely tasting snot in the morning. There you go. Looks like, there we go. Looks like the other is now copping. Playing with the water again to the left there. Oh, yawn in a stretch. It's been a long night. All those old bones need a bit of loosening up. So Skeptazine on YouTube is wondering, do hippo and buffalo tolerate each other? It all depends on the circumstance. I've seen hippo chase buffalo, I've seen buffalo chase hippo. It all depends on the pressure on the individual animals, but as a general rule, they do tolerate each other. Oh, it looks like these guys are not quite ready to lie down. And I'm sure as it gets warmer, they're going to plonk themselves firmly in this little muddy pan. And I want to say, I think that's an excellent idea because today is going to be a scorcher. And the sky is incredibly blue after the rain. And there's almost no dust, and look at that. Now, there's a wonderful song by an artist called Johnny Clegg called African Sky Blue. So it's already 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and on that note, we're going to beetle off, and hopefully we can find you some other interesting things. But there we go, Siberia. You wanted buffalo to wrap up the big four for the morning, and you got them. So let's jump back to Jamie. with the lions for a little bit, and hopefully we'll find you something fascinating on the way.
And I think not a bad morning at all things considering. Lovely to see the Styx ladies, and there's a good chance, given their current position, that they will be hanging around for the sunset safari as well. I don't know how you guys feel, but I don't think that these lions look set to go anywhere. Nice patch of shade, full bellies, water all around them. Plenty of time to move along. I think they're going to be here for our sunset safari. Definitely looking very relaxed. There's a set of pans not too far from where they are. In fact, just looking around me, I would not even be surprised if that pan didn't have a little bit of water still from those rains that we had. If you look through the trees, not the clearest view, but you can see that muddy patch there. There's a chance that there's a little bit of water in the depression. The lion's not nearly as fussy as the elephants tend to be, so they could well go and decide to have a drink there. One of them resting her paw up against a tree, looking very comfortable. Lions often do that. They find or make a more comfortable position for their limbs by resting them against a tree, or either their front or their back limbs, or against each other. Something we observe plenty of times, and probably just takes the pressure off the chest cavity because those legs are fairly heavy. It's just like us shifting around. Now that is one very deeply asleep lion. Done for the day. Of course, if they do decide to stick around for the sunset safari, then we'll get to see what they decide to do as the day gets a little bit cooler and they start to move off. We'll see whether they decide to go north into Vuyatela or if they go south across the boundary. Not the clearest view of the lion's different body parts, but Sibusiso, one of our viewers, who is also known as the Black Mamba and comes from Hammanskraal in South Africa, Sibusiso was wondering about the tuft of hair at the end of a lion's tail. And he was wondering if it has a special name and if it has a specific purpose. We'll start with the purpose. Yes, it absolutely has a purpose, particularly with that black tip. It allows the lions, it sort of highlights the tail so that the other lions can interpret the way in which the lion is feeling. A thrashing tail, as I mentioned at the start of the sunrise safari, means a cross line, but different flicks in different directions. By highlighting in black, which is a color that stands out fairly clearly, it's a way of just being able to emphasize whatever it is the lions happen to be communicating to each other. There's an old story, an old legend, because there is the bony spur at the base hidden by the fur of the tail. There's an old legend, and I think it actually comes from the Maasai, although I could stand corrected on that a male lion, when he thrashes his tail like that, is actually whipping himself with the spur, with the end vertebra at the end of the tail, and he's whipping himself into an angry frenzy by hurting himself with the tip of his tail, and that's the theory behind why the lion thrashes his tail when he's cross. And indeed an explanation behind the hardened tip at the edge of the tail. That is just a story. They thrash their tail because they're cats and that's how they communicate. The spur isn't really something that's used to whip them into a heated state of heated emotional state. What's up, girl? I'm looking around. Getting a good look. She was fast asleep earlier, and then I honestly think she had a bit of a bad dream because she kind of, I don't know if she heard something or if it was a bad dream, but her head shot up. And
No, right was looking up.
Oh, they're both actually looking up. You are right. They're now both looking up. In general, that could just mean that something is moving through the area. It could be impala, it could be a duiker, it could be our young tortoise, making his bid for freedom at a rapid pace. That was an incredible sighting for me. I have never seen... I was chatting to Sean while you were with Brent in the buffalo, and he said it's a first for him as well. He's also never seen a tortoise cuddle a lion before. Definitely a nice way to start the morning. Sibusiso, the tuft, as for what the tuft is called, I think it's just called a tuft. I can't think of a specific name for the end of a lion's tail, to be completely honest with you. I'm racking my brains, I can't think. It might have an anatomical name, but not one that is used with any great consistency. Hey, big girls. We're drawing to the end of our sunrise safari, and I think that Brent would just like to say farewell to you quickly, so I'm going to send you just ever so quickly onto the back of his vehicle, and we'll be back with you shortly.
So welcome back, and being out in the bush, it is a really, really tough environment for the animals. And there's been a lot of debate on social media about Kwatile, a female leopard we do see occasionally. And there has been some reports that she was possibly bitten by a snake. It was not looking very good, and she does have cubs at the moment. And I know a lot of you are very worried about the cubs, and there's been some mention of now interfering and trying to go save those cubs and take them somewhere else. We are in a natural system, and this is how the predator populations are controlled, by things like this happening. And as sad as it is, oh, excuse me, we cannot start interfering, because then we have to start interfering in everything. It's the same thing as that if a snake or a gymnogene grabbed a baby bird, would we stop that gymnogene from getting its meal? And it is very sad, and she is a very beautiful leopard. I know a lot of you are very fond of her. I am very fond of her. I think she's a stunning creature. And it is not confirmed that she has died yet. But if she has, those cubs will die. And that is what nature is, and we mustn't now start fiddling. There's a very good term for what humans quite often like to be. We like to be gardeners in Eden. We are in Eden now, and it's nature at its best, and now we want to garden it. We want to change it to suit our personal needs, which is incorrect. Now, I know a lot of you saying, but we took Sindile away. And there's also some rumors that he might be coming back. I can guarantee you he's not. It would be very, very bad for the whole environment if he came back. Now, Sindile was removed because he took a domestic dog that had tested positive for rabies. So there is where man has interfered on the Eden, and that is why he was removed and that was interfered. But with something like if it has happened to Kwatile, we're not going to get involved. I know it's very difficult for a lot of you, but I'm afraid that is nature. It's most raw, and it's most beautiful, actually, if you think about it. So on that slightly sad note, let's go back to a very happy note, and back to all the lovely ladies, the Sticks and Jamie.
It's a very sad situation when something like that happens, and of course we all feel it and we all understand how deeply it does end up affecting people and how attached you can become to individual animals throughout this natural kingdom. Just something to bear in mind as well from Kwatile's cubs' perspective, if they were to be taken in and they were to be raised and helped, although I suspect it is long past the possibility of that ever happening. I think that if she is dead, I think they will probably have followed a similar route. Once you take them in and you raise them by hand, or even if you try not to raise them by hand, they lose their natural fear of people. They become dangerous, and what kind of future do they have then? Do you put them in a fenced enclosure for the rest of their lives? Not something any of us want to see. But we've got a lion sighting with the promise of a new generation ahead, and the promise of a lion sighting this afternoon on the Sunset Safari. Thank you as always to Wiem for his wonderful camera work. Thank you, Wiem, as well as Jerry and Lou in final control, and to Brent entertaining you on the other vehicle. Most importantly, as always, sorry, she's just kicking her in the side as I say goodbye. She just gave her such a kick as she tried to lie down. Thank you to you, the viewers, for joining us and for sending through your questions and your comments. I'm going to say farewell for now and have a wonderful day. and enjoy this last view of the Styx lionesses for now. Cheers, guys.